Adam, a teenager haunted by a chilling encounter, recalls a fateful night in a run-down hotel. Two friends and I reluctantly stayed at a sketchy hotel due to financial constraints. We chose room 7, unaware of the horrors lurking within its walls. I joked about rats emerging from the vent, unknowingly foreshadowing the real terror. A desperate stranger begged us not to scream, revealing his hideout. Authorities found him living in the vent, a violent past shrouded in mystery. There once was a tenant who constantly complained about strange happenings in her room. She claimed someone was entering her room when she wasn't there, moving things around and leaving traces on the doorknob. To catch the culprit, I hid a low-resolution camera in the hallway outside her door, checking it every couple of hours. The camera captured a figure sneaking into her room, leaving behind a trail of pearlescent shadows. It turns out, her boyfriend orchestrated the entire charade to frighten her into moving in with him. Eric here, sharing the chilling tale from a couple years back, when winter's icy grip wrapped around our town. My friends and I decided to play some football at a nearby park, unaware of the horrors that awaited us. "There's someone watching us," they whispered. We tried to brush it off, but then we saw him to a man sans beard, with a haunting stare. We knew we had to leave, but as we called out to the others, the unthinkable happened. Not one, but two men began chasing us through the night, our hearts racing and bodies trembling with fear. We made it to safety, but the terror remained etched in our minds, forever changing our view of the once familiar park. As a father who gave up his child for adoption, I cherished every moment spent with my daughter, even if it was just through videos. That fateful night, deep in the woods, I experienced something that still haunts me. The forest fell silent, too silent. I felt the presence of a predator lurking in the darkness, and the chilling night air on my face amplified my unease. Then, I heard her voice echoing through the woods, my daughter's voice, but strangely distorted, as if it wasn't truly hers. My heart raced as I laid eyes on the monstrous being, its hunger palpable as it uttered my daughter's words. I feared it knew exactly where I was hiding. As the creature walked away, I couldn't help but wonder if it was truly a wendigo, or something more sinister. Regardless, I vowed to never return to those haunted woods. It was just another winter day when I ventured to my friend's house for chilling gathering. We decided to brave the cold for a walk, but little did we know, we were being followed. Their presence sent shivers down our spines, and we quickened our pace. As we fled, the shadows seemed to lengthen, and our pursuers grew closer. My dad's presence offered temporary solace, but we knew the danger wasn't over. Then, a familiar face returned, bringing nightmares with him. My dad sprang into action, protecting me from the evil that lurked within the darkness. I thought I was used to strange encounters in Sydney, but this one left me shaken. As I returned to my car, a wild-haired woman screamed gibberish, her gaze piercing through me. Her smile stretched, unnaturally wide, sending chills down my spine as she charged towards me. I hurried inside, locking myself in, but she continued her relentless pursuit. She climbed onto my trunk, pounding on the windows, her manic laugh echoing through the garage. I fled the scene, narrowly escaping her grasp, but the memory still haunts my dreams. At 16, I found myself alone in the world, living in an orphanage. One day, I met Brian, a kind stranger who offered me a home. But the house held terrifying secrets. One evening, Brian returned, covered in dirt and sweat, with a bag filled with bloodied knives and cash. He confessed to killing for money, leaving me trembling and shaken. Yet, he showered me with lavish gifts, creating a disturbing contrast. Then, he revealed his true nature, brutally murdering a helpless man before my eyes. I knew I had to escape, but I was too afraid to act. One day, Brian was murdered, and they threatened me to stay silent. His killers warned me that I could be next if I spoke up. I reported the crime and fled to another city, but I continued to live in fear. The world is indeed a jungle, and we're all potential prey. Daniel and his cousin Gia were about to play Ancient Quest, their favorite board game, but little did they know that this night would change everything. As Gia left the room to grab some snacks, Daniel secretly reordered the game cards, hoping to secure his victory. The game began, and with each turn, Gia's suspicions grew stronger as she drew bad card after bad card, while Daniel seemed to triumph effortlessly. Gia accused Daniel of cheating, and in that moment, something within Daniel snapped. He couldn't handle defeat, even at the cost of their relationship. A mysterious force took hold of Daniel, making him repeat the game over and over, trapping him in an endless cycle of wins that ultimately led to his downfall. In the end, Daniel's desire to win at all costs cursed him to become an old man, forever trapped in a twisted version of the game he once loved. As a kid, I often walked home from school, never expecting the extraordinary event that would soon unfold. One day, I caught a glimpse of a familiar face, but couldn't quite place it. That night, I dreamt of my grandmother, who had passed away before I was born. We spoke as if we'd known each other for years. She offered me a mysterious gift, leaving me bewildered yet intrigued. The next morning, I awoke sans glasses, an oddity for someone who needs them to see. My mother served breakfast, but her gaze lingered on something unexpected, a lost family heirloom now adorning my neck. To this day, I cherish the locket, still unsure of its origins or purpose. Yet, I feel safer knowing it's by my side. As a kid, I once ventured too deep into the forbidden woods, where the shadows seemed alive and the silence was deafening. With my friends, we stumbled upon an axe, its blade dripping with fresh blood, and handprints smudged across the handle. Our worst nightmares were realized when we discovered the butchered corpse of our neighborhood watchman. We scattered, hoping to escape the evil lurking within the forest. But there was no escape from the horror that awaited us. A monstrous man appeared, feasting on the remains of my friend, his eyes filled with unspeakable hunger. I fled for my life, the memories of that day haunting my every waking moment. The cannibal was captured, but the darkness he brought still lingers in the hearts of those who survived. As I walked home from school one day, I saw a face I couldn't quite place. Later that night, I drifted off to sleep, only to be visited by my deceased grandmother. She gifted me a mysterious golden locket, its purpose shrouded in darkness. Waking up the next morning, I found the locket around my neck, a piece of forgotten history, now hanging heavy with secrets. My mother recognized it from old photos, but couldn't explain how it got there, or why it chose me to hold its unsettling power. I drove through a notorious road known for death and darkness. Laughter couldn't shake its bone-chilling effect. As I reached the road, I noticed a peculiar figure lurking nearby, his eyes like pools of crimson blood. Despite his unnerving appearance, I offered him a ride, unaware of the horror that awaited me. He grabbed my head, bashing it against the wheel, sending waves of agony throughout my body. After the car halted, he fled, leaving me with lingering fear and memories of that dreadful encounter. If my reflexes hadn't saved me, I would have met the same fate as those before me. The memory still sends chills down my spine. Once, upon a midnight dreary in an apartment complex so weary, Alyssa and her mother arrived, hoping for a fresh start. But something strange was happening as Alyssa stood near the linen closet, tenderly offering French fries to an unseen guest. "That girl is so hungry," Alyssa remarked. "She's always asking me for French fries." Her mother laughed it off, thinking it a game. But the truth was far more chilling. A tragic tale of loss and pain. A child starved to death, haunting the very same place where they now remained. And so, the mystery deepens as another story unfolds, a family secret revealed in the shadows of the past, their guilt forever mold. In another tale, a granddaughter named May witnessed a spectral sight, her grandfather's spirit caught in a loop, a moment frozen in time, at hidden eerie height. May encountered her grandfather again on the stairs, bewilderment and fear as she realized the figure she saw wasn't her loved one, merely a specter left here. They kept the secret from her grandmother, whose disbelief ran deep, yet the encounter forever changed them as the supernatural world crept. It started as a normal day, as normal as it could be when you're 11. I saw an older man with a suitcase sneaking into my neighbor's house. The next day, I saw him again, his gaze burning into me as we passed. My mother said he wanted to give me a gift for being nice to him. Inside were pictures of me taken through windows and a chilling message. We learned he planned to kidnap, rape, and murder me. I'll always wonder if I'd survive. Mia, age 11, lived a peculiar life. Her mother's work left her home alone, with Mama and Papa as company. Ghosts appeared, dressed in white, wandering the halls, yet she shrugged them off as family or simple imaginary frights. Until one night, the clock struck 3 a.m. unsettlingly cold. Mia's world forever changed as she faced the horrors unknown. Ruby red eyes, long bony fingers, and a height exceeding logic. The figure revealed itself, sending Mia fleeing for safety. Her mother tried to banish the evil with sage and salt, hoping to keep the darkness at bay, but the spirits remained relentless. Tragedy followed. Animals perished. The clock destroyed. The malevolent force still lurks, eternally tied to that fateful sight. It was a frigid winter day in 2015, and I foolishly decided to take my dog for a walk in the frozen wilderness. 'Twas the nightmare before Christmas, and all through the woods not a creature was stirring, except this strange lurking man in a black trench coat and winter boots. I feared the worst as I crouched low, praying the mysterious figure wouldn't spot me and my faithful companion. But horror upon horrors, the man was joined by a bloodthirsty woman, her blade gleaming in the moonlight and her smile twisted with madness. Injured and cornered, my only ally lay wounded as the woman prepared to end my life. Anger consumed me, and I fought back with her own knife. Just as death seemed certain, a friend emerged from the shadows, his shotgun blasting the attacker and saving my life. I woke in a hospital bed, surrounded by loved ones, and the neighbor who risked everything to rescue me from the cold, cruel embrace of evil. It was a night like any other, but little did they know that they were about to confront the unexplainable. An uninvited guest appeared, a spectral figure in a tattered white dress and long, claw-like nails. Janet and Mary seemed oddly familiar with their unwelcome companion, as though she was a part of their lives. And at precisely 11 p.m., the girl known as Leela made her haunting presence known to everyone in the room. Fear consumed the girls, driving them from the house and out of Janet and Mary's lives forever. While the truth remains unknown, the mystery surrounding Janet and Mary continues to haunt those who dare to remember. My roommate Michael's room emitted a putrid odor, and he claimed it was just his special friend. I discovered a horrifying secret. A female spirit Eve summoned through necromancy. Her presence was unsettling, to say the least. She touched my neck, and I felt a chill run down my spine. I never wanted to see her again. Then, tragically, Michael died. His body was filled with rotten blood and something else. Now my new girlfriend won't leave me alone, possessed by a desire to become one with me. How do I escape this nightmare? As I prepared my bunk for the night, I noticed a chilling message, "Hello, you are going next," accompanied by a sinister smiley face. The air grew thick with dread. We gathered in the tents, but I witnessed a shadowy figure lurking within, armed with a knife. I reported it, yet no one believed me. What was happening at this ghastly camp? The water turned black as ink as I showered, and the doorknob rattled. I fled, finding a disturbing message, "You won't leave alive." A shadow loomed in the window, watching my every move. In my search for solace, I discovered a gruesome scene, a bloody knife and torn clothing. What horrors awaited me in the remaining days? The final night, I woke to see the shadow once more, now holding a knife. I felt its cold gaze, promising revenge. I knew I had to escape. As I finished cleaning the room, the door read, "You are lucky you survived, but next time I will not let you go." Terror seized me, and I bolted from the haunted chamber. Boarding the bus, I glanced back to see the shadow, clutching a severed head and the same knife. The memories of that cursed place still haunt my dreams. 5 years ago, I sought solace in the darkness of my university's mini chapel, hoping to escape the dread that consumed me as my exams approached. But I was not alone. A mysterious figure, shrouded in darkness, watched me from afar. As I prayed, she seemed to move closer, her presence growing ever more unsettling with each step. Her face was pale, her eyes lifeless, and her wicked grin stretched from ear to ear, a chilling sight that froze my very core. I mustered the courage to utter amen, yet she remained, unwavering in her sinister vigil. Gripped by fear, I fled the chapel, never to return, forever haunted by the specter that lurks within those hallowed walls. It was 2006, and my parents found themselves in a pool hall just outside of Frankfurt, Germany. That's where they met Richard, or Rich, and his wife, who couldn't speak English. Rich invited my parents to his house for a language lesson, and despite feeling uneasy, they agreed. As they arrived, they noticed the house was rather modest, only a single story. My mother indulged in the cheese and crackers while my father refused, suspecting something sinister. Rich insisted, and eventually my dad gave in. Gretel excused herself to the bathroom, and my father knew it was time to act. He carried my mother outside and waited for a taxi to the hotel near the airport. Fearing the worst, my father placed my mother in the bathroom and stayed by her side as she slept through the night. They tried to enjoy their last day in Germany, but my father could hardly contain his anxiety. At the airport, he was violently ill, nearly missing their flight. After hearing news of a couple drugging their guests and murdering them, my parents realized how narrowly they escaped a gruesome fate. To this day, they question the decisions that led them to safety. On a sweltering spring evening in Florida, young Chrissy returned home from school to find her century-old wooden house eerily quiet. As she started her homework, a mysterious force seemed to stir within the walls, reminding her of happier times when Grandma would call her name for dinner. Chilling echoes of pots and pans clanged through the house, yet nobody was there. Even her faithful dog refused to leave her side. Her mother arrived home to the chaotic scene, and neither could explain how the pots and pans were stacked so meticulously. But the voice remained, taunting Grisly with unfinished business. Who was responsible for this unsettling display? As a 17-year-old in Canada, I found myself waiting for a bus during a snowstorm at 9 p.m. The city was eerily quiet, with hardly any cars on the roads. Then, a creepy man in his 50s approached me, asking why I was out in such weather and where I was headed. His smile sent chills down my spine. My phone died, leaving me vulnerable. The man suggested we hang out for a few minutes, but I knew better than to trust him. He persisted, but I stood my ground. Thankfully, a woman entered the shelter and the man backed off. Finally, the bus came. The woman and I got off together, but the man followed us, watching my every move. With the woman's help, I managed to escape the man's gaze. We hurried home, and he vanished into the darkness. It was Friday the 13th, and I foolishly forgot my keys while visiting a friend. Realizing it was 7:30 p.m., I hurried to my grandparents' place, hoping they could save me from the darkness. But fate had other plans, as a chilling presence emerged from the shadows. The creature's icy grip held me captive, its foul odor filling my nostrils. With every breath, my life drained away, but the nightmare wouldn't end. Until I awoke in a hospital, the events of that dreadful night etched forever in my memory. About 10 years ago, my 3-year-old son and I moved into a creaky old house that seemed to cast a shadow on us from the moment we stepped in. A friend visited, and as we spoke, she became increasingly uneasy. Her terrified expression sent chills down my spine. Mommy, who's the old lady in the bathroom? My heart skipped a beat, and I wondered what lurked within those musty walls. One day, as I hurried out the door, a framed photo launched itself off the wall, crashing onto a mosaic table. Whatever lingered here was not happy we were disturbing its rest. In the deck, I discovered a secret entrance to a crude basement, dug deep into the earth. As I descended, I felt the cold gaze of something sinister in the corner. There, amidst the darkness, I found an ancient headstone, a grim reminder of the home's troubled past. But the most chilling encounter occurred one night as I drifted off to sleep. Unseen hands pressed against my back, holding me in place. I froze, terrified, as I realized I wasn't alone. My son slept soundly in his room, but I knew we couldn't stay. We fled the house, forever haunted by its secrets. In the depths of night, Stacy lay trembling as the whispers of the darkness beckoned her forth. With every step, the shadows danced around her, taunting her with each faltering footfall. Her father, half asleep, tried to protect her from the secrets that lurked within the darkness. But what awaited them was not of this world, a malice neither understood nor welcomed. The scratchings on the door told a tale of evil, a warning written in ancient tongues no living soul should dare decipher. They sought refuge in the arms of the law, only to find that even the bravest were no match for the horrors that dwelled within those walls. Their futile attempts to contain the malevolence only fueled Stacy's dread as the darkness continued to breathe, waiting for its moment to strike once more. Ryan once walked into a forbidding forest, where he stumbled upon a mysterious woman in a pink dress, standing motionlessly amidst the lush greenery. She beckoned him closer with an entrancing gesture, her mesmerizing beauty rendering him helpless against his better judgment. As he neared her, her visage twisted grotesquely, and she unleashed an ear-splitting shriek, revealing her true, monstrous nature. In an instant, 4 hulking figures erupted from the shadows, brandishing ropes and sacks, ready to ensnare our unsuspecting protagonist. He fled in terror, narrowly escaping their clutches, his heart pounding in his chest like a caged beast. Leading authorities to the scene, they uncovered a decrepit cabin harboring the victims of a sadistic Dr. Couple's twisted games. 6 emaciated men, barely alive, recounted the horrors they'd endured, trapped as slaves, stripped of their strength, and tortured for the couple's amusement. In 2017, I was a 13-year-old skater, surrounded by my rebellious friends. One day, we decided to venture into the mysterious old skate park, shrouded in tales of tragedy and darkness. As we scaled the fence, I realized our bravado was blind to the evil lurking within. The air grew thick with tension as we entered the sinister world beyond. An unexpected fall left me wounded, yet my friends ignored my cries for help. Their coldness sent chills down my spine, but little did I know, things were about to get much worse. My friends turned into monstrous, decaying versions of themselves. I was petrified as they cornered me, their fetid breath filling my nostrils with the odor of death. Just as suddenly as it began, the nightmare ended. Water, a great waker, brought me back to reality. But the memories of that day continued to haunt my dreams, leaving me wondering if the supernatural encounter was merely a drizzle of insanity. Brandon, a young man from Southern California, ventured into the depths of a mysterious forest with his family. As he relieved himself, something wet and sticky dripped onto his skin, making him shudder. To his horror, A disfigured and psychotic figure appeared, beckoning him with an evil smile. He narrowly escaped the monstrous stranger, only to find himself stopped once again during a sleepless night. A chilling realization dawned upon him. The threat wasn't supernatural, but very much human. They caught the escapee, a convicted sex offender and rapist who had been lurking dangerously close. It was the last September when I had an accident. My parents were told my condition was critical. I was subconscious, but I remembered one thing. I couldn't breathe. As I struggled to breathe, I imagined my friends who thought about death so easily. Death became real when my face was so swollen that my mom didn't recognize me. My consciousness returned, but I couldn't move. I was trapped in my own body, unable to communicate with anyone. The nurses would come and go, opening my eyes with a flashlight. I tried to signal, but my body refused to cooperate. It was like a living nightmare. They drilled a hole in my throat. The pain was unbearable. I couldn't breathe. Everything was happening without anesthesia. Time distorted. Visiting hours were the only markers of the days passing. I worried about my body, wondering if I was still whole. I had signed to donate my organs. Would my parents agree to take them, not knowing I was alive? The nurses took excellent care of me, but I overheard their gossip. I learned secrets I wish I hadn't. After I awoke, I couldn't shake the fear. What if I stopped breathing again? The experience haunts my dreams. Lucid dreaming, huh? I thought I was the only one who could invade dreams. What is lucid dreaming? It's like living a nightmare inside another nightmare. Trapped in my own mind, I sought relief. Little did I know the truth would haunt me forever. Your sister's body was weak, but her dreams were powerful. Too powerful. Death hung over the amusement park like a dark cloud, ready to strike. Time stood still, yet the horror continued. Would it ever end? Don't run. Embrace the darkness within. The line between reality and dreams blurred, leaving us wondering which one is real. They say that when we tell stories often enough, they become part of our reality. But what if those tales hold a hidden darkness? We found an ancient tome filled with frightening stories that seemed to echo our own lives. Tommy's gone, and his name was somehow linked to this sinister book. Could the stories be coming to life? Now, Ella finds herself in the tale of a decaying corpse hunting for its lost digit. We've unleashed something evil, and we must put an end to the horror before it consumes us all. I used to think parks were safe havens, a place where friends and I would gather to share laughter and joy. That changed when I met the girl. She was around 14 or 15, and something about her made my gut twist in dread. I politely declined her invitation to join her and her friends. Months passed, and the town was shaken by the disappearance of numerous girls. Then, one day, I saw her again, luring even younger children into her trap. We followed her to a dock, where a black van led us to a yacht. Determined to uncover the truth, we ventured inside, hoping we wouldn't find corpses. As we descended, the putrid smell grew stronger. We knew we were close to a gruesome discovery. Inside the container, we found human parts and organs. My heart raced, and I nearly fainted. We knew we had to get out, and fast. We contacted the authorities and left the rest to them. A week later, we learned those girls were victims of heinous murders. The culprit received a death sentence, but the memories still torment me. As a pizza delivery driver in Chicago, I've learned to expect the unexpected. One fateful evening, I found myself at a ramshackle home on the outskirts of town, ready to confront the mysterious caller who had tormented us with odd orders and chilling noises. The house loomed before me, its windows dark and foreboding. I approached the door, anxious to unmask the enigma shrouded within. When he emerged, wearing a bizarre mask and bearing scars that sent shivers down my spine, I knew this encounter was unlike any other. His mutilated smile exposed the horrors he had endured, yet his gaze held a menacing gleam that left me feeling uneasy and vulnerable. Sensing the danger, I retreated, eager to leave the night nurse scene behind, but his piercing screech echoed in my ears long afterwards, a haunting reminder of the darkness that lies beneath the surface. When I was young, my family attended a soccer game at a local park with a large soccer field and a playground. Little did we know the horrors that lay ahead. My brother, let's say his name was Sean, played soccer while I grew bored and wandered off to the playground, where I encountered a boy with a Spider-Man web shooter. He invited me to see another toy in his family's vehicle, and despite my gut feeling, I followed him like a lamb to the slaughter. His father, a twisted smile plastered on his face, watched us from the front seat as I blindly climbed into the van without a second thought. In the nick of time, my father's voice rang through the air, saving me from a fate worse than death as the van sped off into the night. A chilling reminder to never trust strangers, no matter how enticing their promises may be. My name's Eddie, and I thought being home alone would be a blast until the night things turned gruesome. When my pals came over for a sleepover, we decided to play a game of hide and seek, never expecting what we'd find. We discovered our daredevil friend, cornered by a maniac wielding a massive blade. We fled for our lives, the killer hot on our heels, as fear clutched at our hearts. We barricaded ourselves inside, praying the monster wouldn't get in, and made that fateful call to the police. Since that horrifying night, I can't bear to stay here without my parents. Fear has become my constant companion. I was 10 years old, home alone in our cozy little city, while my parents visited Grandma. As I lay in bed, my imagination ran wild. When I heard a blood-curdling scream pierce the silence of the night, sending chills down my spine. Frozen in fear, I listened intently, but the quiet returned, unnervingly still. But the scream came again, closer now, and I could see a gaunt figure leering at me through the glass. Her smile so wide, so eerie, it haunted me for the rest of my days. Paralyzed by fright, I felt trapped in a nightmare, seeking solace in the safety of my room. As a truck driver for a Michigan-based water company, I found myself stranded on a desolate highway in January, surrounded by a snowstorm. With my truck sputtering and shaking, I pulled over to refill the coolant reservoir, braving the freezing temperatures in just my regular clothes and a baseball cap. Strange noises from the woods caught my attention, too loud for animals, but not quite human either. Whatever it was getting closer. Finally, I heard a loud crash and a soft thud. I realized someone or something was lurking nearby, and it was heading straight for my truck. I pressed on the gas, trying to escape the unknown pursuer. To my horror, they were gaining ground, racing alongside my truck. Just when I thought I was doomed, the figure missed the guard rail and vanished. I never knew who or what it was, but it left me forever changed. My name is Rose, and I used to have an older brother named Adam, or so I thought. One day, I woke to find my father in tears and my mother trying to console him. "Your brother. He's gone," my father stammered. That night, I heard strange noises in my room. I switched on the light, and there he was, Adam, grinning manically. "Pranked you," he chuckled. I couldn't believe it. How could he do this to us? He led me to our parents' room, where he revealed his true, terrifying form. My mother saw the horror in his eyes. She knew the truth. Now, I live in constant fear, haunted by the secret of my brother's untimely demise. On a dark, frightening Halloween night in 2020, a group of adventurous kids ventured into an abandoned hospital where they would soon discover the true meaning of fear. The children, named Bob, Jimmy, Nick, Cameron, and Clyde, decided to explore the rumored haunted hospital, hoping to find excitement and maybe even a clown. As they ventured deeper into the hospital, they encountered strange apparitions and heard ominous voices telling them to leave. But it was too late and their fate was sealed. Clyde vanished without a trace, leaving his friends devastated, but determined to rescue him from the clutches of the sinister clown. Armed with a syringe, Nick confronted the clown and freed Clyde, only to find that the horrors within the hospital were far from over. They raced toward freedom, chased by the clown's ghostly presence, narrowly escaping through a hidden fire exit. At the police station, the kids reported their harrowing encounter, only to learn that the clown was never found, leaving the hospital's secrets buried forever. As a 12-year-old, I never expected to share a room with my uncle and little brother, especially not after my grandmother's stroke. We tried to ignore the peculiar sounds, blaming it on a mischievous cat, but the footsteps outside our window sent chills down our spines, and we couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Our hearts pounded as we discovered the gaping hole in the wall, exposed to the unknown danger lurking outside. The thudding footsteps above us left us paralyzed with fear, wondering if a killer was on the loose. In the end, it was just a harmless mouse, yet the terror still lingers, etched into the fabric of our memories. The murder of our neighbor only heightened our sense of dread, leaving us to wonder if we narrowly escaped a tragic fate. Every day I drove through the same stretch of road, surrounded by whispering trees, unaware of the chilling presence lurking within. Then I noticed him, a spectral figure, always facing me, never turning away. His silence echoed the secrets of this cursed path. Accidents plagued the area, fueling rumors of a sinister force at play, the man, a harbinger of doom. My curiosity ignited. I tried to catch a glimpse of his back, but he always faced me, defying logic, as if bound to my gaze. In my reckless pursuit, I nearly met the same fate as the others. Luckily, I survived, but the truth haunted me. As the officer revealed, The man wasn't out to get me, he was saving me. I was the one who tempted fate by seeking answers in the shadows. As I stood in the backyard, thoughts raced through my mind. Why had my parents left me alone in the dark? Then, I saw it, a creature unlike anything I'd seen before, towering and terrifying. It looked at me. And then it ran, disappearing into the shadows. My father didn't believe my tale, but our neighbor seemed to know more than he let on. In my nightmare, it spoke, "You can't hide." I've lived in constant dread ever since. My days were filled with relentless bullying, a constant barrage of cruelty that plagued my journey through middle school. Each day, I endured taunts and pokes as I tried to find solace in the safety of my seat, wishing for just a moment of peace. Their words cut deep, fueled by unchecked rage, as they told me I'd always be worthless, never measuring up. Something within me snapped, and I experienced a surge of darkness, consuming me from within. I woke to silence, their fear palpable as they cowered before the monster I had become. They say revenge is best served cold, but sometimes it comes wrapped in shadows, with a hint of madness. As my birthday approached, I eagerly awaited the gift from my enigmatic grandmother, known for her chilling tales and eerie demeanor. The moment I laid hands on the book adorned with a peculiar symbol, everything turned pitch black. What secrets did this tome hold? My mother scolded my grandmother, but her eyes burned with malice. That night, a sinister shadow lurked in my room, a figure I'd never forget. Paralyzed with fear, I realized it was no mere nightmare. The apparition was all too real, and it was coming for me. To my horror, I recognized her. My own grandmother, armed with a hidden blade, planned to take my life. In a desperate bid for survival, I found solace in a forgotten toy, thwarting her murderous plot and saving my soul. As I ventured into the mysterious banana caves, an ordinary walk in the woods turned into a hair-raising experience. My dog, usually fearless, froze with trepidation as it stared at the caves. A nightmarish creature emerged, attaching itself to my poor dog's neck like a sinister parasite. In a gruesome dance, the creature battled my dog, evading our attempts to rescue him. With a menacing gleam in its eyes and razor-sharp teeth, it taunted us as it disappeared over the cliff. To this day, the identity of this goblin-like creature remains a chilling mystery, leaving us forever haunted by the horrors within the banana caves. I often took the subway to work, and one morning I noticed a peculiar homeless man muttering to himself at the station. He seemed to be begging for spare change, but something felt off as people passed by. As a large woman walked by, he whispered, "Wow." I assumed he was insulting her, yet she kept moving. Next, a well-dressed man approached, and the homeless man uttered, "Human." His words were oddly specific. Then, a gaunt figure appeared, and the homeless man muttered, "Cow." I found it strange since the man resembled a turkey or a chicken more. When a rotund gentleman walked by, the homeless man said, "Potato." It didn't fit the pattern I thought I saw. I became obsessed with deciphering the homeless man's cryptic words, wondering if he possessed psychic powers. One day, I finally worked up the courage to ask him about his gift. He revealed he could sense people's last meal. Turns out, his ability was more mundane than mystical. Turns out, he only knew what people recently ate. I laughed, realizing he was right about my breakfast. Of all the psychic abilities, his was perhaps the most unusual and the most useless. Bailey hated how her town seemed frozen in time. Even the local thrift store offered no escape from the monotony. Until one day, a mysterious pair of boots caught her eye. The boots were unlike anything she'd ever seen, as if they held secrets from the past, whispering promises of power and confidence. But the price tag was a barrier she couldn't overcome, leaving her feeling helpless and defeated. The boots led her to a secret cabin, filled with tales of an infamous outlaw named Bootsy Bandit, whose legacy still haunted the place. As Bailey uncovered the truth, she realized the boots weren't merely a treasure, but a curse, bindings her soul to the notorious bandit's spirit. Fighting the boots' allure, Bailey managed to break free from their grasp, but whispers of a new outlaw in town tell a different tale. I was 19 and living in the heart of the city, surrounded by life and light. Yet, the chill of darkness still found me. As I lay sleeping, the blanket was torn away, leaving me exposed and terrified in the dead of night. The thudding grew stronger, the eerie silence deafening, as if some unseen entity sought to consume me. The fear consumed me, and I blacked out. When I awoke, the evidence of that sinister presence remained. The marks on my skin told a tale of her I once thought impossible, a memory that still haunts my dreams. I was 10 years old when I first encountered the mysterious intruder in my bedroom. As I gazed out the window, my heart raced as I noticed the tall, hooded figure watching me. The uninvited guest beckoned me with an unsettling offer of candies and a sinister smile. My father protected me, chasing the stranger away, but the mystery remained. Heart pounding, I found solace in my parents' room, unsure of how the trespasser entered our home. We learned the truth, a deranged escapee from a mental institution. Security cameras now watched over us constantly. To this day, I wonder how he gained access to my room, and if it could happen again. As we settled in for the movie, a chilling figure caught my attention. The nun's presence haunted me throughout the film, her gaze piercing through the darkness. We tried to stay ahead of the nun's unnerving gaze, but she seemed to appear closer each time we looked. In the chaos of the climactic scene, the nun emerged from the shadows, wielding a knife and cackling maniacally. We narrowly escaped the deranged nun's rampage and alerted the authorities, only to learn she was a dangerous fugitive. I woke in the dead of night, my cousin beside me, as whispers of darkness danced outside our window. The scratching began, and terror seized me as those sinister eyes pierced the blackened void. My cousin unveiled a horror-twisted beast, screeching, stalking the night with predatory intent. We found evidence of its ghastly presence: claw marks, footprints, and the remnants of our poor goldfish devoured in the night. In the city that never sleeps, yet another terror lurks, a specter haunting the halls of our school. A lost mother roams the school's corridors, eternally searching for her child, whispering warnings to those who dare approach. I came face to face with the specter herself, her unnerving smile casting an unsettling chill upon my soul. As thunder crashed and lightning flashed, I scribbled my name upon the glass, only to find a portrait of the wailing woman watching me. My friends listened in awe, their eyes wide with dread, as I recounted my brush with the supernatural. In my quaint village, nestled in the hills, I'd always felt a chilling presence lurking beneath the surface. As a child, I saw things no one else could see, but my parents dismissed my fears, blaming my wild imagination. That day, as I walked my dog near the river, a sinister presence emerged from the shadows, its glowing red eyes burrowing into mine. It taunted me, its deep, cracking voice echoing in my ears, sending chills down my spine. We fled, the creature relentlessly pursuing us, its putrid stench filling the air as it closed in. The next day, we learned our neighbor had brutally murdered his wife and drowned himself with the same man whose spirit haunted me that night. To this day, I'm left wondering if the spirits have a message for me or if they simply seek to torment my soul. Michael's uneasy excitement filled the air as he recounted his bizarre experience to the class. He entered the restroom, where he was greeted by an unsettling presence and chilling whispers. Alone in the hallway, the whispers grew louder, sending chills down his spine. His classmates and teacher watched in confusion as he burst through the door, his face a mask of terror. As they shared their tales, it became clear that Michael wasn't the only one haunted by these mysterious whispers. In the depths of southern Utah, another tale unfolds as three friends find themselves tormented by an unknown entity. They tried to enjoy their evening, but were unnerved by strange sounds and movements lurking just out of sight. Fear gripped their hearts as they witnessed inhuman handprints and heard unsettling breathing in the dead of night. At dawn, they discovered footprints that seemed to defy logic, leaving them wondering who or what had visited them that night. Every summer, I'd venture to a remote campsite with my friends, including a girl named Via, for 2 weeks of fun in the woods. We kids were divided into teams based on age, staying in cabins deep within the forest, far from civilization. 3 years ago, we stayed in small, cramped houses instead of the usual campsites, an unsettling change. One night, I needed to use the bathroom, located at the B-team cabin, and decided to bring Vera along due to my fear of the dark. As we walked, I heard strange footsteps following us, but when I turned, nothing was there. After finally finishing, I was startled when someone tried to enter the bathroom I was in, and they won't stop. I ran for my life, with a tall, masked man chasing me with a piece of wood, driven by an uncontrollable fear. Turns out, he was a psychopathic criminal who'd recently escaped from prison after attempting to murder his own family. That experience left me deeply traumatized, never again setting foot in a campsite, forever haunted by the unknown. 8 years ago, I was a shy, bullied teenager living in a quiet town with my parents. One night, I noticed a mysterious stranger lurking outside our house. The man seemed lost and desperate, but as he tried to enter our home, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. He claimed to be stranded and asked for a drink, and my parents kindly allowed him in. We learned he had no family and was struggling, but when they left the room, he grabbed a car key and startled us all as he made a dash for the door. My mom shouted for him to stop, but he sped off in her car, leaving us all shaken and forever changed by this strange encounter. My husband, Jack, once a loving and brave man, was haunted by a terrifying presence. Every night, he woke up screaming, begging me if it was all just a dream. He spoke of a towering, monstrous figure in his dreams, relentlessly pursuing him. The man in Jack's dreams was death itself, laughing with a crying face. We sought help from a shaman, who warned us of the dire consequences. Jack wore clown makeup to confuse the monster, but the nightmare continued. Despite our efforts, the entity remained undeterred, shattering my husband's sanity. In the end, Jack perished, his body mangled and tongue severed. If you encounter this menace in your dreams, never let it catch you. Alan, a weary traveler, ventured to the airport, anticipating a routine trip to Dubai. Little did he know this journey would be anything but ordinary. A strange girl gazes at him, her eyes unnervingly open, her smile bothersome. As they cross paths, an uneasy feeling consumes him. In the restroom, Alan senses a presence, a girl's whisper taunting him. With each step, her threat grows closer, the scissors in her pocket a menacing promise. Boarding the plane, Alan hides among the crowd, but she persists, a spectral stowaway hell-bent on ruining his voyage. Upon arrival, the sinister girl emerges once more, her twisted smile now a demented leer. In the deserted night, she pursues him, scissors brandished and ready to strike. Fleeing for his life, Alan escapes into a taxi, yet her gaze lingers, a haunting reminder of the evil he barely escaped. Melissa here, revisiting a chilling experience at my grandparents' home in the countryside with my cousin, Andrea. We stumbled upon a private property with a large, ominous lake and a strange, abandoned wooden pontoon. As we explored further, we discovered a hidden sanctuary for the most unusual inhabitants. Andrea ventured into the shadows, finding a ramshackle cabin full of unsettling artifacts. A frightening encounter with a towering, emaciated man brandishing a bloodied axe sent us fleeing for our lives. We narrowly escaped and never returned, haunted by the uncertainty of what lay ahead. The day before class elections, Aiden yearned for power, craving attention like a venomous snake. He loved to make others squirm, feeding off their fear like a twisted, psychotic worm. But then, a mysterious newcomer arrived, carrying a doll with unnervingly large eyes. In a fit of rage, Aiden tossed the doll aside, unaware of the dark force he'd unveiled. As he slept, a foreboding dream invaded his thoughts, warning him of an awful curse. His worst nightmare came true, leaving Aiden exposed and trembling, a lesson learned the hard way: never underestimate the power of a seemingly harmless doll and its owner's wrath. As a child, I adored the beach cafe by our home, where I'd spend countless days playing with friends. One summer evening, while playing in the sand, I heard an unsettling noise coming from the bushes. My friends seemed petrified, their eyes locked onto something lurking behind me. A chilling touch on my neck sent shivers down my spine, and I fled in sheer terror. Later, I learned a deranged man had murdered someone nearby and was standing right behind me, knife in hand. Since then, I've never strayed too far from the safety of the cafe when the sun goes down. Once upon a time, I worked at a small pizza shop owned by a mysterious foreign man and his two nephews. On my first day, the owner asked me to change into my work shirt in the walk-in freezer, a place that sent shivers down my spine. He watched me like a hawk as I washed dishes, always finding ways to make me feel uncomfortable. He knew too much about my personal life, even threatening to break into my apartment while his nephew made unsettling remarks. One night, after a particularly unnerving encounter, I fled the shop and had a panic attack, leaving a trail of abandoned pizzas in my wake. To this day, I keep a watchful guardian by my side, ensuring I'll never be alone in the face of such terror again. They say the first mannequin was crafted using a real human corpse, creating a disturbingly accurate replica. Human flesh is rumored to be the most delectable meat, a tantalizing treat that could bring animal instincts to the surface. The scent of death is supposed to be revolting, but what if our senses have grown numb to the horror? Pain can be pleasurable when the mind convinces itself to feel joy, but just how much suffering can one endure before breaking? A mysterious cavern in Scandinavia swallows explorers whole, leaving only questions and whispered legends in its wake. A cried face foretells rain, a troubled expression heralds snow, but when the statue smiled, the warning was far more chilling. A centuries-old automaton predicts the future, yet it seems to hold a secret, refusing to reveal what lies beyond a certain point in time. He spoke of secrets and shocking truths, but no one could recall his visage or the stories he shared. Our yearly trip to Madeira, the birthplace of our parents, seemed ordinary until a chilling incident changed everything. My grandmother's love for Victorian-style dolls made my sleeping quarters eerie, leading to a terrifying dream. Black insects swarm the floorboards, obscuring the almond-brown wood as I helplessly watch in horror. In my dream, A mysterious woman wearing a hideous purple dress murders my brother, leaving me petrified. My mother's reaction to the dream and the discovery of a torn photo reveal a haunting connection to our past. To this day, the memory of that dream and the mysterious woman sends chills down my spine. Jake knew he had to impress the older kids, but the truth was, he still clung to a piece of his childhood. Their mockery only fueled Jake's determination to prove he was no longer a child, even if it meant parting ways with his beloved companion. Anger and embarrassment consumed Jake as he tried to hide his most treasured secret from those who seek to torment him. Little did Jake know that the very thing he discarded would soon become the key to unlocking his courage. The night that followed brought forth a chilling encounter, one that left the boys questioning reality itself. From that day forward, Jake and his newfound friends found solace in their once mocked companions, forever changed by the events that transpired under the light of the full moon. Once upon a time at Camp Blue Lake, a young hero named Cole returned, his heart filled with anticipation. But fate had other plans, as the lake was off limits due to unknown dangers lurking beneath its surface. The ancient cabin, known for its sinister whispers and icy waters, awaited the unsuspecting boys. As the darkness descended, courage fled, replaced by dread, for the lake's secrets were best left unsaid. From the depths of the lake, a creature slithered forth, a slippery serpent born of the murky water's mirth. Into the cold embrace of the lake, Cole disappeared, forever to remain, a tale etched in Camp Blue Lake's dark history. The air was thick with dread as we walked home that dimly lit night, our hearts pounding in unison. There she was, a mysterious figure, hunched over as if consuming something sinister. We ventured closer, unease settling in our bones, as the putrid odor of decay hung heavy in the air. Time stood still as we beheld the horrifying sight, a mangled visage feasting upon the entrails of a helpless child. Terror-stricken, we fled, our limbs carrying us as far from that monstrosity as possible, our friend Covey frozen in its grasp. Maria Lobo, they call her, a malevolent spirit who consumes human flesh without remorse. Her tale sends shivers down our spines to this day. Kenneth here, sharing a tale of when I and my pals, Jeff and Jack, ventured into a haunted mansion, a decision we still rue. We suck in, trying not to draw attention, but the creaky doors betrayed our entrance. Jeff unfolded the tragic tale of the child who'd had enough and took his father's life in the basement. We explored, finding blood-stained books and hearing unexplained noises, growing more uneasy by the minute. We were tormented by a malicious presence, demanding revenge, trapping us inside the mansion. As we fled, Jack spotted the boy, grinning at us as if he'd been waiting for us to tell our story. There once was a man named Arthur, who lived in the haunted city of Edinburgh, Scotland. One fateful evening, he encountered a mysterious girl named Mary Tallish while driving home from a friend's birthday party. With her striking features and ethereal beauty, Arthur couldn't help but feel uneasy as she spoke of her lost dolls and dancing dreams. He agreed to drive her home, but little did he know that the journey would lead him down a spiraling path of horror. To his dismay, Arthur discovered that Mary wasn't just any ordinary girl. She was a vengeful spirit seeking justice for her brutal murder. In order to save himself from the evil that befell Mary, Arthur embarked on a quest to uncover the truth and set her restless soul free. As I descended into the depths of the lake during a recovery dive, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something eerie lurked beneath. It's just another job, I thought, as I came across the lifeless body of a young man perfectly preserved, standing as if frozen in time. But then, the impossible happened. The rope connecting us seemed to come alive, violently pulling us deeper into the darkness. My instincts took over. I cut myself free, escaping the gruesome fate that awaited me in the watery abyss. What truly terrifies me is that I can't rationalize the inexplicable force that tried to claim my life. Was it a hallucination? Or something far more sinister? Kiana here, and let me tell you, this camping trip was anything but musical. We arrived at this ancient mansion, which apparently was once a prestigious school. The students looked like they were straight out of a Tim Burton movie, except less cheerful. That's when we heard the footsteps. Or at least I thought I did. The sound got closer, the air grew colder, and none of us dared to breathe a word. Something brushed past me, breathing down my neck. Neither of us slept that night. Turns out, our rooms were former detention cells where students met their end. I'll never forget the chills that shook me to my core. That was the most traumatic experience of my life. As 11-year-old Sarah settled in for a cozy sleepover at her friend Kenzie's house, she had no idea the night would take a terrifying turn. Kenzie's tale of a past resident's gruesome murder sent shivers down their spines, but they brushed it off as just an eerie bedtime story. Their innocent laughter turned to fear as they discovered the sinister figure emerging from the darkness, entering the house while they were distracted by their meal. Paralyzed with dread, they dared not make a sound, realizing their worst nightmares had come to life within the walls of this seemingly safe haven. They barricaded themselves in Grandma's room, heartbeats thundering in unison, desperate to escape the evil that lurked beyond the door. Though the authorities apprehended the criminal, the events of that fateful sleepover continue to haunt Sarah, now 16, as the maniac has once again broken free from his imprisonment. As a young medical student, I had grown accustomed to the unsettling sights of dead bodies. Little did I know, the most chilling discovery awaited me in the most unexpected place, a charming home in California. "Tell me about the odor," I inquired, eyeing the peculiar voltage box. The landlady casually dismissed it as a dead squirrel, but I couldn't help but feel a shiver down my spine. We moved in, blind to the darkness lurking beneath the surface. Life unfolded like a nightmare, until my girlfriend stumbled upon a gruesome secret hiding behind the voltage box. Her shrill scream echoed through the house as we found the body of a poor soul, brutally murdered and hidden among the wires, as if part of some twisted circuitry. Our lives forever changed. We learned the horrifying truth. Our landlady, a cold-blooded psychopath, had been planning to add us to her morbid collection. We fled the house, leaving the nightmare behind, but the memory still haunt me, a chilling reminder of the evil that dwells within the walls of that cursed abode. In a sleepy Nebraska town, where nothing ever happens, a chilling secret lurked beneath the surface. One fateful night, the quiet was shattered by a sinister explosion that left everyone wondering what if. Rumors swirled like smoke through the hallways as the fear of the unknown crept into our hearts. We gathered, desperate for answers, only to find that the truth was more terrifying than we could have imagined. It turned out that Kevin, a student among us, was not the innocent victim we believed. His twisted plot to destroy the town and its people was thwarted by his own carelessness, leaving us to wonder what could have been. As I walked down the hall, I couldn't shake the eerie feeling that something was watching me. My heart raced as I saw the silhouette of a man at the top of the stairs. I assumed it was my father. But as I returned to my room, the figure remained still, saying nothing in response to my greeting. The next morning, Grandma revealed the terrifying truth. It was the spirit of our deceased friend. She warned that he might try to take one of us with him, but I'd mistakenly ignored his attempt to reach out. To this day, I can't help but wondering what could have happened if I had ventured closer to the spirit that night. My name is Christian, and this chilling tale took place 3 years ago when I lived in a dormitory with my best friend, Miko. We foolishly left a hot cup of coffee in the sink, daring the spirits to prove themselves. I should have known better than to tempt the supernatural. When I returned, Miko was sleeping peacefully, or so I thought. I'd ignored the strange silence, blaming it on finals exhaustion. But when I found the coffee still steaming, I knew something was wrong. That's when my phone rang, and everything changed. Miko's voice filled my ear, yet the figure in bed remained motionless. My heart raced as I realized the horror unfolding before me. After he hung up, I couldn't move, my gaze locked on the spot where the figure had lain. I knew we weren't alone in that dormitory. We fled that haunted dormitory, never to return. That night will forever haunt my memories, a reminder of the unknown forces lurking among us. Every day I walked through this foreboding alley, a haven for rats and roaches, taking a shortcut I thought I knew well. Until the day I encountered a man feasting on a peculiar meal, ketchup and something unimaginable. My world turned upside down when I stumbled upon a decapitated man, his brain brutally removed and a cryptic note bearing the number 9. Fear seized me as I confronted the man from the alley, his hunger for human brains consuming him, brandishing an axe in pursuit. Months later, our paths crossed again, and he offered a bone-chilling confession, taunting me with his latest conquest. His sick quest for the perfect brain, scored like a demented deli menu, left me forever scarred, and avoiding that accursed alley. When I was 8, I had no friends. My mom kept me locked indoors, away from the world, surrounded by nothing but dusty toys. One day, she finally let me out to play with the neighboring kids, who ignored me like a speck of dust on their shoe. But then, I met him, a boy with puppy eyes and a charm that hid a chilling secret. He invited me to play in his garden, where I found myself vomiting uncontrollably, as if my body knew the horrors that awaited me. 2 weeks later, a paper airplane delivered a cryptic message. He'd been missing for 9 years. And now, he haunts my every thought. Today, I'm 19, and the memory of that boy still haunts my dreams, as if he's waiting for me to join him in the darkness. 10 years ago, my life was plagued by relentless bullies who tormented me daily in this very alley. One day, I stumbled upon a mysterious flyer promising revenge through black magic. Out of desperation and curiosity, I gave them a call. As I entered the shop, the skeletons sprang to life, surrounding me. The owner claimed what I saw was real, and that he could summon terrifying monsters. The choice was mine. A death god was even an option. I selected a gargoyle-like demon, wondering if it could truly be summoned. The demon appeared and mercilessly grasped my neck, proving the magician's power. I signed a contract, eager for vengeance. I conjured the demon to attack my tormentors, and their gruesome cries filled the night. To everyone else, it seemed like they had turned on each other. They never bothered me again, and I reveled in my secret victory, knowing the truth of the dark arts. When I was just 6 years old, I experienced something I'll never forget. I lived in a large house, accompanied by a small, neglected chicken coop. Behind our home, a soccer field lay at the top of a steep hill. One day, 2 of my cousins, my sister, and I decided to hike up the hill to play soccer. As we reached the top, we found ourselves in a bizarre, crowded festival. The field was filled with people laughing and cheering. We were disappointed we couldn't play, but we decided to explore further. However, the path led to a dead end. We turned to leave, but the once crowded field was now eerily deserted. Panic seized us as we realized the people had vanished without a trace. Terrified, we fled, but I felt a cold hand grasp my leg, making me tumble and hurt myself. My family rushed to help me up, and we sprinted home, where my mother reprimanded us. My sister explained the supernatural incident, leaving my mother visibly disturbed. It turns out the field was a graveyard. To this day, I wonder if the force that dragged me down was a warning to stay away from that haunted place. In the 90s, I lived in Astoria's Ravenswood houses, where darkness lurked beneath the facade of friendship. Rich, the seemingly cool and charismatic mailman, hid a sinister secret behind his friendly smile. His dark side emerged when he brutally assaulted his partner, leaving her with injuries that horrified the community. The new year brought a series of chilling events, culminating in the gruesome murder of his family, their mutilated remains discovered in a crime scene straight from a nightmare. Weeks later, I encountered the traumatized boy who witnessed the aftermath, his innocence forever tainted by the monstrous acts of a trusted friend. As I consoled him, I realized the true horror, a child's broken spirit, scarred by the unthinkable acts of a man once considered a friend. As a child, I once lived in a small town where the darkness held secrets unspoken. In our home, a mysterious knocking echoed from within the cabinet. Our sense of safety breached. Late one evening, hunger led me to the kitchen, where the unknown lurked beyond the fridge. An arm emerged, pale and wet, its motion slow and steady as if summoning me to join the shadow realm. Paralyzed with fear, I hid beneath the covers, hoping the nightmare wouldn't prevail. Our house, once a hospital, holds spirits trapped within, leaving me forever changed by the spectral encounter. There once was a tantalizing taste that lured me in, a restaurant known for its delectably sinister flavors. The owner greeted me warmly, offering a rare treat for his most loyal patron and otherworldly delight. As we dined, the guests seemed ravenous, consuming every last morsel, licking bones clean like famished beasts. They spoke in codes, conspiring to capture a child, trading favors for protection from the law. Eyes glared at me, expecting a gruesome gift in return for their generosity, a debt to repay. Fear consumed me, as I narrowly escaped the clutches of this culinary cabal. The restaurant vanished, leaving only whispers of a violent end shrouded in mystery and madness. It was just like any other day at the sprawling campus where the kindergarten, elementary, and high schools intertwined. We traversed the creeping shadows cast by the ancient oak tree, its whispers echoing in our ears. The third graders trembled before the locked door, their screams muffled by the darkness within. What lay within the room defied logic. A child possessed, a demon unleashed, the rational world shattered. She spoke our names, her gaze piercing our souls, and we fled, never looking back. Curiosity had led us to the brink of the unknown, leaving us forever changed, forever haunted by the secrets hiding beneath the boughs of that malevolent tree. I remember my naive 20s, when I became obsessed with ghost hunting. My best friend, James, shared this fascination. We visited a supposedly haunted hotel, where room 704 had a lingering reputation for horror. 3 rules existed to survive the room: no food smells, always wear clothes, and don't leave the closet open for over a minute. But James ignored the warnings and tempted fate, unleashing a terrifying creature. In the midst of the night, The creature devoured James's intestines, leaving me forever scarred. Seeking revenge, I trained for 6 months, preparing to confront the monster that claimed my friend. 10 years ago, when I was 12, I moved to a safer, calmer neighborhood. I was ecstatic when I discovered an ice cream truck visited every Sunday. Cherry chocolate chip was my favorite flavor since age 3, and I couldn't resist it even when it began to taste strange. My mom noticed the odd flavor too. We soon realized the ice cream was laced with drugs, making me sick and tired. The vendor grew agitated when I tried to switch flavors, but I stood my ground and reported him with my mom's help. Though he wasn't caught, I can't shake the chilling thought of his true intentions. What was he trying to do to me? Casey, the slowest player on the Lincoln High soccer team, sought to improve his speed by befriending the team's lucky mascot, Gil. In exchange for his loyalty, Gil granted Casey unnatural speed, but at a terrible cost. As Casey became faster and more successful, he began to exhibit strange behaviors, alarming his teammates. Little did Casey know, his desire to play like a greyhound came with a curse, and he slowly turned into a dog himself. Trapped in his new form, Casey found himself the victim of a twisted wish, forever bound to the life of a dog. Starla, a 17-year-old living in a large town, recounts a chilling tale from her childhood. When I was 6, my family moved into a new home, eager for a fresh start, unaware of the horrors that awaited us. The kind gesture of our neighbor, an elderly woman, seemed harmless enough until that fateful evening. As I laid in bed, I caught a glimpse of her sinister smile, her eyes burning into mine like daggers in the darkness. Mom checked the window, only to find it shattered and bloodied, the old woman nowhere to be found. To this day, the old lady watches me from afar, and I can't help but wonder if she'll return for me one day. Ever since my childhood, I dreamt of a perfect wedding down to every detail. But my sister Michelle mocked my plans, even after I met Steve, and we set the date. We decided on a child-free wedding, but Michelle threw a tantrum when I asked her to leave her kid at home. Our families turned against us, threatening to boycott the ceremony. Steve consoled me, and we tried compromises, but Michelle refused. As she hurled cruel words at me, I knew I had to take matters into my own hands. I slipped abortion pills into her drink, and now my dream wedding is back on track. As she weeps in the hospital, I can't help but feel a twinge of guilt. But the darkness in my heart has ensured that my perfect day won't be tarnished. This is a day I'll never forget. Harry didn't love the gray outdoors, finding it smelly, sticky, and unbearably hot. He whined and complained as he marched through the forest, irritating everyone in earshot. Their trail was crossed by a massive spider, and all were amazed. Except Harry. Joanna stepped in, saving the spider and lecturing Harry on its importance in the ecosystem. That evening, driven by hatred, he sought out the spider to finish what he'd started. But karma found him first, leaving him helpless and trapped, as Joanna revealed her true, chilling form. As the spider approached, Harry realized she wasn't the only one with a taste for pest control. As a child, I never believed in the paranormal, until I encountered La Llorona. My friends and I would spend hours at the arcade, often returning home well past midnight. One night, I saw my friend walking with a mysterious woman in a white dress. I thought nothing of it. The next day, I learned my friend was taken by the weeping woman who drowned him in the lake. That night, La Llorona came for me too, crying for her children as she wandered the darkness. To this day, I can't escape the memory of that chilling encounter with the weeping woman. I once stumbled upon a chilling encounter on Omegle that left me forever scarred. A man wearing a terrifying zombie mask appeared on my screen, his voice sending shivers down my spine. Behind him, a man writhed in pain, groaning as if his very soul were being torn apart. He taunted me, asking why the suffering man had been chosen, offering a cruel ultimatum. With every passing moment, I felt the weight of his threat growing heavier on my shoulders. His game began, and I found myself trapped in a nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. Though the authorities attempted to help, they ultimately proved powerless against the evil lurking within. The horror continued, even after the perpetrator was captured, leaving me forever changed by the experience. And now I can't help but wonder if the true mastermind is still out there, waiting to strike again. In the 11th grade, my friends and I trespassed into an old, abandoned elementary school one stormy night. We ventured deep into the darkness, our flashlights piercing the unknown. We spotted a mysterious woman in a wedding dress lingering in the shadows, her gaze haunting us like a spectral bride. But then she laughed, her mouth stretching impossibly wide, revealing a twisted grin that turned our blood cold. The police were called, but they found nothing except a strange presence lurking within those halls. Even after being grounded for weeks, we couldn't shake the memory of that horrific night and the bride who haunted our dreams. As a child, I experienced chilling events in our ancient West Virginia home, which lingers in my memory like a dreadful nightmare. The mysterious room with a metal door and perpetual chill sent shivers down our spines, concealing terrifying secrets. Insects swarmed my room, disturbing the silence, a harbinger of the supernatural encounters to come. I denied entry to a malevolent entity from the boiler room, only to witness a hideous transformation. An unhinged specter invaded my sanctuary, its malevolent intent palpable in the moonlit room. Fear consumed me as a beast emerged from the shadows, leaving me defenseless against the unknown. The horrors intensified, trapping us in a web of hauntings, madness, and unimaginable loss. We fled the house, leaving behind a legacy of violence and despair, forever tainted by the spirits that lurk within. The tragic tale of a mother driven to unthinkable acts echoes through the walls, a testament to the darkness that can fester in the hearts of the broken. My family and I embarked on a trip to a nearby river, where an unnerving sensation immediately greeted me. As I returned to the car, I discovered a bloody knife that seemed out of place, yet I brushed it off as a fisherman's tool. Little did I know my father's friend would become a victim, found deceased near the exact spot we visited. That night, a horrific vision plagued my sleep, a mysterious man slaying another and concealing the body in the river's shrubs. He demanded answers, threatening me with his blood-stained blade. "Why didn't you check the bushes?" I laid paralyzed, unable to respond. His words echoed in my mind. "I want him to be dead. I want him in jail. I want him in hell." Though I awoke, the killer's face remained etched in my memory. To this day, the killer has not been found, leaving me to wonder if the truth lies hidden in the shadows. I was driving home from a late-night gig when suddenly a mysterious woman darted in front of my car. She seemed desperate, pleading to call her mother, yet no words left her lips. We raced to a 24-hour gas station, where she frantically tried to reach her mother. Out of the darkness, a man grabbed her, vanishing without a trace. How could they have disappeared without a trace? Her scream still echoes in my memory, a haunting reminder of that fateful night. As a 14-year-old, I never imagined the horror that awaited me in our new home, a house that would become both my sanctuary and my nightmare. In the dead of night, I saw an eye, unblinking and unnerving, staring straight at me. I couldn't shake off the fear that gripped my soul. My parents dismissed it as a mere nightmare, but deep down, we all knew something sinister lurked within those walls. As I drifted off to fitful slumber, I left my third eye, the camera, to guard me, hoping it would offer protection against the menacing presence. The nun's visage, both beautiful and monstrous, haunted my dreams and shattered my sense of safety. Who was she? Why did she spare my life? We escaped the house, but the memories continues to torment us. The truth remains buried within those walls, waiting for its next victim. It was a seemingly normal day, but little did I know, things were about to take a sinister turn. As I settled in for the night, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. The man who'd been following me was now outside my bedroom window, capturing my every move on camera. My worst fears were confirmed when I found an envelope filled with photos, proof of his twisted obsession. He's locked up now, but the fear remains. How many others suffered before me? In January, a few years ago, our town was frozen by a bitter chill. I lived on the second floor of an old apartment building, overlooking a small park with a lonely bench. One night, around 9 p.m., I noticed a child sitting on the bench despite the relentless snowfall. As midnight approached, the child remained unaffected by the brutal cold. I found myself worried, but hesitant to interfere, until I stumbled upon a disturbing online comment. "That is not a human. Just shut the door and go to sleep. Do not talk to him." The warning sent chills down my spine. Mustering courage, I called out, but the child seemed not to hear me. As I watched, bewildered, the child vanished, only to reappear outside my very window. My heart raced, certain it was a spectral visitor. I slammed the window shut, locked the doors, and spent the night in terrified vigilance. The encounter haunts me still. What if I hadn't seen that comet? Would the creature have entered my home? That night, I encountered the unexplained, and it left me forever changed. My name's Max, and I was 9 when my father first shared this terrifying story. It happened in Wisconsin, where summers are scorching and bonfires are a must. Tonight, with the air thick and heavy, my father's tale sent shivers down my spine. Carla and Dion were exhausted, searching for a place to rest. The fog descended, shrouding the world in mystery. They stumbled upon a quiet town lit by an ancient street light. Maria's Inn awaited them. "This is Maria," Dion said, introducing the elderly innkeeper. Her beauty had long faded, leaving only remnants of a once stunning woman. Carla couldn't shake the dread that crept up her spine. The church loomed before them, majestic yet menacing. Inside, a hypnotic chanteuse entranced the congregation with her angelic voice. Carla's unease intensified as the singer grew brighter, threatening to burst with every note. They awoke in a nightmare. The town vanished, replaced by crumbling remains. The old street light remained, standing like a silent sentinel. An aged man revealed the horrific truth. The town had perished in a bombing 50 years ago. Carla and Dion fled, forever haunted by the experience. Their lives unraveled, consumed by the shadowy secrets they dared to uncover. I'm not close with my father anymore, but I remember his words. Stay safe and stay away from the lights. As I devoured my dinner, a knock on the door sent shivers down my spine. She demanded food, and I offered bread, taken aback by the doll's insatiable hunger. Her visits became frequent, and the doll's growth was unsettling, as if it feasted on our fear. I denied her entry, and the next morning, the truth struck with horror. She had committed a brutal crime. The mysterious doll, seemingly alive, held secrets no one could explain. Now, I cower in fear, haunted by the doll's gnawing hunger and the unfathomable mystery behind it. As I entered the ancient woods, the whispers of the leaves sent shivers down my spine. The silence was deafening, yet something lured me away from the path and into the unknown. The trees closed in, forcing me to follow a winding, otherworldly path. I found myself drawn to an ancient oak adorned with peculiar markings that vibrated with power. A haunting figure warned me to leave as the woods revealed their insatiable appetite. But it was too late. The forest had claimed me, entwining me in its roots. They say curiosity killed the cat, but I never thought it would come so close to killing me. It was just another Saturday at the mall, a day filled with shopping and playing hide and seek among the rows of clothes. I never expected that round coat rack to be the scene of my first real-life horror movie. He grabbed me by the wrists, asking why I was running. I felt a chill run down my spine as I struggled to break free. His unsettling presence followed me everywhere, even into the ladies' room. That's when things took a turn for the worse. As he shook the door, I realized I wasn't alone in this nightmare. 2 angels came to my rescue, saving me from who knows what fate. After that day, I learned the importance of staying close to those who love you most. Someone was watching, but not in the way I ever could have imagined. 12 years ago, as a naive middle schooler, I encountered a terrifying force that shook me to my core. Amy, my once kind and gentle friend, transformed before my very eyes, revealing an unimaginable darkness within. Her disturbing pact with the devil brought her powers beyond comprehension, turning innocent wishes into nightmares. Mammon promised her desires in exchange for unthinkable horrors, trapping us both in a spiral of dread. Amy's thirst for power drove her to commit unfathomable acts, leaving death and destruction in her wake. Though I escaped her clutches, the memories of those horrendous days continue to torment me, reminding me of how close I came to losing everything. Once upon a time, Polly and Joanne were inseparable friends until one day everything changed. Joanne found new friends at school, leaving Polly feeling abandoned and invisible. Even during snack time, Polly was left out, like a shadow fading into the background. But the worst moment came when Joanne's parents asked about Polly, and Joanne denied her existence. As the terrible truth hit her, Polly realized she was nothing more than a figment of Joanne's imagination. And with that heartbreaking revelation, Polly vanished forever, leaving behind only memories of their friendship. It was the summer of '89, and I was 16. A group of friends and I found ourselves in the midst of a terrifying supernatural encounter that forever changed our lives. Judy, a friend who dabbled in black magic, introduced us to the world of spirits when she brought a Ouija board to one of our gatherings. The spirit of a cheerleader, tragically killed in a drunk driving accident, revealed herself to us. Her mutilated face left us all traumatized. We ventured to the old stone church, where the spirit was laid to rest, hoping to help her find peace. We encountered a man with a shotgun and 2 eerie twins in yellow porch lights, adding another layer of mystery to our already terrifying night. When we returned in daylight, the house was gone, leaving only the church and the memories of that haunting experience etched in our minds. In 2003, we moved into a quaint, old house built in the 50s. Little did we know, it harbored a chilling secret. One day, I noticed a figure in the shadows, smiling at me. I thought he was just a carpenter until I saw his broken neck. At 3 a.m., sounds echoed from the ceiling. Footsteps, a scream, and a loud thud as if someone fell through. I trembled, unable to sleep. And soon, I learned the tragic tale of the carpenter who haunts this very home. He died in 1958, falling through the same weak spot in the roof that now lies above my bedroom. Now I see him occasionally, but I'm no longer afraid. I suppose he's still watching over the place. On a chilling Christmas night, a dispatcher received a bizarre phone call from a man who had crashed his car deep in the woods between two cities. The dispatcher sent 2 policemen to the scene, where they discovered a gruesome sight, a vehicle torn apart by an enormous tree. As the authorities investigated, a man in a green shirt emerged from the shadows, asking why it took them so long to arrive. Despite the severity of the crash, the man in the green shirt remained unscathed, wandering aimlessly near the accident site. When the medics arrived, the man disappeared without a trace, leaving the policemen bewildered and terrified. As they moved the car to rescue the victim, a horrifying discovery was made. The man in the green shirt was pinned beneath the steering wheel, still alive but unable to escape the wreckage. I worked at one company for a year before my current job. My wife and I lived alone, and one night I came home drunk. The elevator stopped on different floors, but no one was there. I thought it was a prank. Then, a tiny girl said she'd enter once her mom arrived. Her voice sent chills down my spine. Stains appeared on the light, and a mysterious hand reflected on my back. Fear consumed me. The girl reappeared, smiling like her mouth would rip apart. My heart froze. Someone was following me, but I made it to my house, only to find the woman and child outside. My wife and I spent the night in terror, wondering who those beings were. In the year 2011, when I was just 13 years old, my friend invited me to a party at his home. As I stepped out of the car, the air felt heavy and foreboding. As I rushed to the bathroom, the tension in the air grew thicker. I could hear footsteps outside, and then a crash against the window pane. The knocks became more urgent, more forceful. The guests froze, fear etched onto their faces. We knew something was wrong, terribly wrong. Through the shattered glass, I saw his twisted smile, his hungry gaze. Our innocent gathering suddenly turned into a brutal fight for survival. After the chaos subsided, we learned the horrifying truth. Our invader was a serial killer with a taste for children's lives. I was Ahmed, a young traveler seeking adventure in Saudi Arabia. I stopped at a creepy gas station, unaware of the horror that awaited me. What the confusion, I thought, as a gruesome sight greeted me. A mangled body lay before me, tossed like trash. Then, a man emerged from the bathroom, his appearance sending chills down my spine. He dragged the body to a shed, leaving me trembling in fear. He walked towards my car, my only means of escape. I held my breath, hoping he wouldn't see me. I raced to a mosque, desperate for help. The imam listened, calming my nerves as we called the police. They arrested the man, uncovering a ghastly secret. He murdered victims for years, hiding their corpses in a remote location. I was lucky to survive. This experience taught me to always trust my instincts and prioritize safety in uncertain situations. My friend Austin once told me that the most beautiful thing in the world is the sight of someone dying, fighting for their life with a desperate passion. He claimed that people in today's world have empty eyes, but in their final moments, they reveal a vivid beauty that's truly captivating. Austin believed that murdering people would save humanity, bringing vitality back to this world, and he wanted me to join him in his twisted mission. Fear gripped me, but I knew I had to put an end to Austin's insane plans. So, I reported him to the police. In his final letter, Austin warned that the world would become hell and I would regret my decision. But I know I did the right thing. As a 20-year-old, I still remember the horror I experienced at 17, the day I discovered my friend Jason's dark secret. There he was, chewing on something I initially thought was candy, until I noticed the blood trickling down his chin. "It's human meat," he casually admitted, showing me a site where twisted individuals bought and sold people for consumption. When Jason tried to turn me into his next victim, I grabbed 2 knives and threatened to defend myself, sending the criminals fleeing. The authorities arrested Jason and exposed a nationwide human trafficking ring, but the nightmares still haunt me. If it weren't for Jason's carelessness, I would have become a part of his sick, cannibalistic feast. I began my internship at a small company while attending a special high school, and I quickly realized I wasn't alone. A classmate who I despised worked there too. This person had a history of spreading lies and causing conflict among my peers, but I did my best to avoid confrontation. However, our rivalry escalated, leading to an explosive encounter in the company's storage room. In the heat of the moment, I wished harm upon my nemesis, and then he died in a freak accident. Now, I'm haunted by the memories of that day and the chilling vision of my own face staring back at me. During my junior year of high school, I was chosen for a beauty contest, but I lacked any remarkable talents. Alongside my friends, we decided to perform a dance routine. We practiced in an empty house near my home, with a caretaker who allowed us to use a room, warning that the electricity was not working. As we danced, we captured our performance on my laptop, but a blood-curdling scream pierced the air. On the recording, a terrifying shriek echoed throughout, as if someone was being brutally murdered. We fled the house, unable to shake the dread that followed us. My mother dismissed our fears, but the video haunted her too. We avoided the house after that, forever tainted by the memory of the shrill, inexplicable screams. In a quiet, sleepy little town, there dwelled a restless boy who found himself wide-eyed in the depths of night. The darkness seemed alive, as if whispering secrets meant to torment his weary soul. His parents, oblivious to the turmoil, tried to console him with warm meals and gentle words. Desperate for respite, he stumbled upon a mysterious app called The Whisper, promising the perfect slumber. But instead of peace, the app unlocked a chilling world, where a relentless creature haunted his dreams. Trapped in an eternal cycle of torment, the boy could neither escape nor awaken from the nightmare. "You can now sleep forever," it murmured, condemning the boy to an existence void of peace. And so, in the silent embrace of dreams turned to darkness, the boy slumbered for all eternity. My name is Dan, and this chilling tale began 3 years ago when I moved out of my parents' house after landing a stable job as a plumber. One day, I was called to fix some pipes at a client's home, where I met a charming young woman named Amanda, who was living there with her parents. We started dating, and she moved in with me, but soon, things took a turn for the worse. She became increasingly angry and argumentative, creating scenes both in private and public, leading me to decide that I had to end it. After our breakup, Amanda refused to accept it, tormenting me by throwing rocks at my window and showing up unannounced at my house. Her threats escalated, and she even carved my name into her skin, terrorizing my family and me. Amanda's obsession pushed her to stalk us, causing my parents and I to flee the state, hoping to escape her wrath. Thankfully, she was arrested and sentenced, but we still live in fear of her return. My name's Amelie, and this chilling tale took place during a Christmas gathering at my Aunt Jennifer's home. Our tradition, my grandfather would dress as Santa to hand out gifts, but this year, something felt off. His beard seemed real, and his costume unusually dirty. He knew our names, yet something didn't feel right. Grandfather disappeared after giving gifts, and we found him lifeless in a closet. The clock read 9:25, but he had passed away hours earlier. Who was our Santa Claus? How did he know our names? To this day, the question lingers who invited him into our home. And now, as you watch this story unfold, remember, sometimes, even the kindest faces hide secrets best left unknown. My mother, in her late 20s, and estranged from my father, sought refuge at my auntie's house during her pregnancy with my eldest sister. As she lay sleeping, the unnerving sense of unease grew stronger, culminating in a whispers echoing my father's name. A chilling vision greeted her waking eyes, a creature with impossibly long legs, disheveled, blonde hair, and an unsettling darkness about him. Her screams drove it away, but the terror lingered, etched into her memory like a haunting melody. Even her aunt's skepticism couldn't dispel the fear as they both encountered the creature, leading my mother to abandon that dreadful place. Years later, my friend Mary bought a house shrouded in mystery and despair, unaware of the horrors within. Strange occurrences plagued her days, foul odors, phantom footsteps, and falling pictures, all foreshadowing the grim truth. After her sudden death, the police discovered the previous owner's gruesome secret, a cruel curse condemning all residents to perish within 2 weeks. Hundreds of lives cut short, their restless souls lingering in the shadows, leaving me to ponder the price of daring to dwell in that accursed place. I was working in the sewers when I heard something approaching. Fast. It had multiple legs, like some twisted insect-human monstrosity. I fled, but my curiosity got the better of me. I confronted the creature, and it attacked me. Turns out, it was the town's mad bug-loving doctor, now a nightmarish abomination. As a former taxi driver, I've seen some odd things during late-night shifts, but nothing prepared me for that fateful evening. The stranger seemed to materialize out of thin air, making my heart race as I clutched my chest. "To a place you will hate so much." His voice sounded like leaking air, yet I brushed it off, eager to return home to my wife. He laughed, sending dust flying from his decaying teeth, and I wondered if I was losing my mind. Was I hallucinating? His hand reached into my mouth, grasping my heart. I screamed as our paths collided with fate. My wife and the doctors couldn't comprehend what transpired that night, but I know the terrifying truth. What he said lingers in my head. I deliver people to be after me. I'll never forget that soul-shattering whisper. There once was a boy who discovered a disembodied toe in his garden. His mother found it quite tasty and decided to add it to her hearty soup. They enjoyed their meal, did the dishes, and retired for the evening. But the toes owner wanted it back, and its voice haunted the boy throughout the night. With every step, the mysterious visitor drew closer, until finally, "You've got it," the boy whispered, realizing the terrible truth. "I'm Christy, and I'm 15. My sleep schedule's a mess, so I'm often up till 3 or 5 a.m. One night, I felt a chill, and then heard strange tapping noises from my window. The tapping grew louder, faster. I felt a heavy breathing in my ear, but I kept my eyes shut. I passed out. When I woke up, my leg was covered in deep scratches. In college, I worked at a haunted graveyard. One night, I saw a smoky cloud above my coworker and heard a whisper. She vanished, leaving her mop and bucket behind. Collie, age 18, tells the tale of her grandfather's passing. Afterward, she heard Grandpa's loud snoring in the night, despite him being gone. The sound sent chills down her spine. She prayed, hoping it was just her imagination. But the snoring continued. Her mother didn't believe her, but she knows what she heard that night. I was driving to my parents' house for the holidays when I spotted an old bar offering free drinks. As a slight, skinny woman, I usually avoided such places, but curiosity got the better of me. I stepped in, and things quickly took a turn for the worse. The bartender and a creepily smiling man exchanged ominous looks as I approached the counter. I realized they were working together to lure me into a trap. As I fled for my life, I noticed the man chasing me, his smile growing wider with every step. I flagged down a police car, but it drove off, leaving me alone with my pursuers. Just when I thought I lost them, they appeared before me, grinning ear to ear. They captured me and dragged me to my car, but the sound of police sirens made them flee. I woke up at my parents' house, surrounded by police officers. They revealed the men were escapees from a mental institution, planning to kidnap me and take me to an abandoned house near the bar. I haven't set foot in a shady bar since. I found myself in a desolate town, shrouded in darkness and solitude. Unnerved, I noticed creatures lurking in the shadows, ready to pounce on me. As I cried out for help, the creatures swarmed me, revealing terrifying appearances, led by a bat-headed monstrosity with a serpent's tongue. It clamped down on my leg with its massive icicle-like teeth, causing excruciating pain. I struck its head, prompting it to push me away. I woke at 4 a.m., realizing it was a dream, but the sensations remained. Nightmares plagued me for weeks, leaving me exhausted and uneasy. Visiting the hospital, I learned my leg was rotting. The doctor warned me to avoid further bites, but the dreams persisted, and I was losing control. Armed with a hammer, I fought the monsters nightly, growing weary but resolute. Killing them reduced their numbers, but at great personal cost. A fellow patient, Jeremy, died inexplicably, his head charred, with no sign of intruders. Terror seized us all. In my final dream, I faced a colossus with a singular arm. Striking it repeatedly, I severed its limb, but the victory was fleeting. An eyeball-like bead appeared in my hand, smoking and singeing my flesh. I flung it aside, and it vanished in a fiery display. The nightmare ceased, leaving me to wonder delusional reality. Whatever the truth, I am forever scarred by the experience. Eric, a 31-year-old single father, lived in a quaint one-story house with his young son, Alex. The night before Christmas, they encountered a trio of mysterious carolers, sparking a series of unsettling events. Alex felt an unease that grew stronger as the tale unfolded, culminating in a chilling encounter at home. She appeared at their window, her ghostly presence sending chills down their spines. The authorities confirmed the old woman's identity, only deepening the mystery surrounding her appearance. Eric discovered they were absent from photos and videos, as if erased from existence during the caroling. Haunted by the traumatic events, Eric and Alex remain scarred by the night they witnessed the impossible. Charlie here, and let me tell you, my freshman year of college was quite the ride. Little did I know that one fateful night at a house party would change my life forever. We were messing with the Ouija board when it claimed there was a girl in the room. Yeah, right. I didn't bite. But then things got weird. Late night laughter, knocks on the window. Bad dreams. My roommate brushed it off as exam stress. But I knew something wasn't right. Then, that Thursday night, everything changed. A silhouette of a girl appeared in our room, taunting us. "Why do you seem so scared?" she whispered. We were out of there in a heartbeat. We called the police, but they found nothing. To this day, I still hear strange noises everywhere I go. Was it the Ouija board or just a cosmic coincidence? Who knows? But that night, I learned never to mess with the unknown. The theater was packed, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. There it was, crawling towards me, a chilling presence that made my blood run cold. It laughed a sinister cackle that filled the air, sending chills down my spine. Its eyes were wide, its smile grotesque. I almost vomited at the sight. I fled, heart pounding, certain it was closing in, trapped in a nightmarish maze. free from the theater, yet forever scarred by the horror lurking within. I, a featherweight fellow, stumbled upon a peculiar ad seeking a slender model for a medical student's skeletal study. The moment I laid eyes on the 250-pound behemoth, I knew this gig was no ordinary job. As he plunges the needle towards me, I realize I'm about to become another victim in his twisted collection. With every fiber of my being, I fought to escape his sadistic grasp, leaving a trail of chaos in my wake. In the end, I discovered the true depravity of his obsession. He craved our bones, not our lives. 4 years ago, I married the love of my life. We moved into our dream home, a centuries-old rustic gem on the edge of town. My wife began to hear strange voices, whispers that drove her to the brink of madness. I tried to protect her, searching the house with a baseball bat. Our friends grew concerned, and I took her to see a doctor, who found nothing wrong. Desperate, I invited a local priest to bless our home. The voices ceased, and my wife found solace once again. A business trip called me away, leaving my wife vulnerable. She insisted she could handle it, that the voices were gone. Upon my return, I discovered the unthinkable, my beloved wife, hanging from the banister, driven to unimaginable despair. After her tragic passing, my girlfriend and I revealed the truth. Hidden speakers played those sinister whispers, orchestrating this ghastly deception. It was well past midnight when we encountered a chilling sight, an old lady, seemingly homeless, sitting by the roadside. Her shrill warning about an imminent accident sent shivers down our spines, but we dismissed her as a lunatic and drove away. To our horror, we stumbled upon the very accident she foretold, leaving a driver dead and a passenger paralyzed. The old lady disappeared, leaving us perplexed and terrified. We tried to unravel her mystery, but only found more questions. "Live your life to the fullest," the old lady's words echoed in our minds, as we sought guidance from our spiritual leaders to protect ourselves from the unknown. My best friend's house seemed ordinary until I noticed the aged, dusty doll watching us from above. We heard footsteps, yet knew her sister could not be the culprit. Panic set in as we fled to the safety of the terrace. The doll's malevolent presence lingered even after my best friend discarded it, leaving us all with lasting nightmares. As a police officer, I was sent to investigate the disappearance of 4 young men who ventured into this forbidding building. Legend had it that the structure was inhabited by the devil himself. The monk warned me not to enter the building and mentioned the devil, but I didn't take him seriously. His ominous words echoed in my mind as I stepped inside. In the pitch black, I encountered a man writhing like a snake, whispering something I couldn't quite understand. I chased him, losing track of reality as I entered a realm of hell. Trapped in a nightmarish world, I felt myself being pulled into the gaping maw of some unimaginable beast. Just as I thought I was lost, the monk's chanting saved me. The monk's sutras cleansed the evil from the building, and I narrowly escaped the clutches of the infernal realm. Grateful, I heeded his advice and never returned. Now I know the fate of those who vanished within those walls, and I will forever be haunted by the horrors that lie hidden in the shadows. In a quiet town, near my home, lived a peculiar man named Tom. He never quite looked at your eyes, always fixated on your stomach, as if hungry for something unseen. His endless desire for hugs consumed him, leading him to embrace anything within reach: trees, poles, even unlucky strangers who dared to pass by. He was relentless, and his gaze sent chills down my spine. But I tried to avoid him, hoping his obsession wouldn't consume me too. One day, I caught a glimpse inside his home, mannequins, lined up like silent sentinels, watching, waiting. A shiver ran down my back, yet I couldn't help but feel a twisted fascination. When he finally cornered me, his desperate hug turned into a vice-like grip. I struggled, but he wouldn't let go. His breath grew heavier, his heart raced, a primal hunger possessing his very being. After that fateful encounter, I knew Tom's fixation was twisted, unnatural. The mannequins offered no solace. He sought the warmth of living flesh, but only cold plastic embraced him. But fate had other plans. Cardiac arrest brought an end to his quest for affection. Yet, in death, he clung to his macabre substitute, a horrifying testament to the depths of human loneliness. As a young teen, I joined my family on a road trip to a remote village where we rented a cottage beside a serene lake, and stumbled upon a decrepit shed near the lake, its open doors taunting us with secrets hidden within. A strange light danced beneath the shed's tattered ceiling, sending chills down our spines as it seemed to watch our every move. My brother and I, normally fearless, were paralyzed by the unnerving gaze, feeling exposed despite the darkness. Then, a gruesome stranger emerged, beckoning us to join him for twisted games, his cold smile promising nightmares. Heart racing, we fled to the safety of our cottage, barely escaping the clutches of the madmen who haunted our sleep that night, and ever after. In the depths of the facility, a creature lurked, shrouded in darkness. SCP-29, the Daughter of Darkness, a being neither human nor animal, a malevolent force that defied comprehension. Men, mere pawns in her twisted game, enslaved by her hypnotic gaze, ready to carry out her sinister commands. Trapped, yet still powerful, her dark abilities waning beneath the relentless glare of floodlights. Ever watchful sentinels, protecting the world from the horrors that lie within. And the eternal struggle between light and darkness continued, but only the brave could dare to confront the shadows. It was April 1st, 2001. As I sat watching TV alone at home, I heard a deafening bang on my back door. Unsure of what it could be, I continued watching TV, trying to dismiss the noise. Suddenly, I heard a chilling whisper, "I am coming for you." My heart raced, but I remained calm, hoping it was just my imagination. I mustered the courage to go outside and confront the mysterious figure, only to find my friend Fred playing an elaborate April Fool's prank. Relieved, I laughed along with him, until he confessed that he hadn't whispers in my ear. That's when I realized there was something sinister lurking within my home. We discovered a fugitive burglar in my house, armed with a pistol and pocket knives. Turns out, he had broken out of prison days earlier. The cops apprehended him, ending the terrifying ordeal. My dad lost his favorite shoes at a restaurant, only to find them again in a package at work, sent by an anonymous stranger. And I discovered a cell phone in my room that wasn't mine, with a calls log showing activity from just yesterday. Who does it belong to? I found a terrarium that seemed harmless, until I saw a girl with a twisted neck lying beside me in bed. Then I dreamt of bone-made dolls digging graves in a terrarium, and when I tried to clean it, tiny white pieces blocked the drain. In middle school, 2 friends took their lives, but appeared alive in a group photo taken after their deaths. Our teacher burned it, but I can't forget the unsettling looks in their eyes. Ever since my separation, I've been haunted by the number 44. Every time I glance at a clock, it seems to be 44 minutes past the hour. My husband's drinking habits drove us apart, leaving our matrimonial bed cold and our lives devoid of happiness. With my young child in tow, I left the house, desperate to escape the bleakness that consumed our lives. My attempts to find love again only led to more heartache, as I clashed with yet another partner. Too late, I learned of my ex-husband's passing, a victim of his own destructive habits. His memory now haunts me, bound to the eternal 44 minutes. The number 44 continues to plague me, a chilling reminder of the tragic events that unfolded. Can this curse ever be lifted? In a small town, a school play becomes a stage for a terrifying lesson in humility. Sophie, the self-absorbed lead actress, lets her newfound fame get to her head. She ridicules her fellow actors, especially Logan, who struggles to remember his lines. The teacher shares a chilling tale of a past production gone wrong, warning of a vengeful spirit. But Sophie dismisses the legend, only concerned with her own glory. As the play begins, Sophie seeks revenge on her peers for their perceived slights, and the spirits of the cursed theater emerge to teach her a fiery lesson. On a sultry summer evening, as I played with my loyal dog Dorn in the garden, a peculiar caravan arrived, its occupants harboring sinister intentions. The sound of a cat in the distance sparked my curiosity, drawing me toward the unknown danger lurking within the van. A gray kitten bewitched the girls and led us to the van, where the ominous woman revealed her true nature. Her words echoed in my mind, "An evil child must be punished," as she lunged at us with a knife, only to be thwarted by Dorn's brave intervention. Inside the box, a gruesome discovery: deceased kittens and a devious device designed to entrap innocent souls. From that day forward, I vowed to remain vigilant, knowing the monsters that lurk among us, forever tainted by the haunting events that transpired. Once, when I was young, I visited my grandfather in Serbia. He was a man shrouded in mystery, with a past as dark as the woods he once roamed. He told me tales of his days as a hunter and taxidermist, when he would venture into the shadows seeking animals and secrets. One night, he took his niece into the woods, searching for a wolf. But they found something far more sinister. She was gone, torn apart by something monstrous. A wolf, he claimed, but the truth was hidden beneath layers of lies. Years later, I discovered the truth: the owl was hers, a chilling reminder of a terrible secret. My grandfather's dark past remained buried, but the horror echoed through generations, a ghost haunting our memories. I finally arrived home from an exhausting day at school, eager for rest. As I slept, I found myself in a familiar yet eerie place. This was one of my childhood homes, and I was young, vulnerable, and plagued by a ghastly vision. A demonic presence lurked nearby, a hungry darkness that haunted my every step. I tried warning my mother, but she couldn't hear me. Should I keep this nightmare silent? At school, I faced a gruesome sight, the creature's severed head on my lunch tray. I fled in terror, only to be reprimanded for leaving school grounds. My parents believed I was merely imagining it all. As punishment, I was grounded for a week, my days filled with doubled chores. I thought I'd escaped the nightmare. But the monster returned, seeking me out. My father armed himself, hoping to protect us. It found me in my room, its roar jolting me awake. I made a deal with my sister to destroy the evidence. She drew the beast that tormented me, and I burned it to ash. Yet the memory remains, still terrifying. As I lay sleeping, a viscous fluid dripped onto my face, jolting me awake. Confusion turned to dread as I felt an unnerving warmth, yet saw nothing. Pain shot through me like a hammer blow, and I collapsed in terror. The laughter echoed, as I fought off an unseen enemy. Footsteps fled, leaving behind only lingering coldness and bizarre audio disturbances. In the hospital, I confronted my neighbor, who spoke of monstrous voices. Again, the warm breath. But this time, blood appeared, staining everything. The police were baffled, unable to identify the entity responsible for the chaos. Doorknobs rattled, and I constantly feared the worst, prepared to defend myself. The house remains vacant, its secrets still buried within. No one truly knew or will ever know what lurked in that house. My little one has been unwell, trapped in the shadows of his room for days. I bring him his favorite meal, hoping it'll lift his spirits, knowing it won't change the truth. He's eager for the food, but I fear what lies beneath his growing hunger. It's the eyes, he says, they are the best part. My heart aches as he savors every bite. His innocent question pierces my soul. Can I come out now? I wish I could say yes, but the monster within won't let him. As I bolt the door, I can't help but wonder, when will this nightmare end? On a seemingly ordinary Saturday night, my cousins and I gathered at my grandfather's house, unaware that our lives were about to change. We had just finished watching a chilling tale about a mysterious toy called Mr. Whitemouth, an ominous precursor to the events that followed. Suddenly, a giant breadfruit plummeted from the sky, breaking the silence of the night and sending us all into a frenzy of laughter and unease. As I tried to sleep, my thoughts raced back to the sinister tale of Mr. Whitemouth, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Scratching sounds echoed from the window, sending chills down my spine. I knew I had to investigate, even though fear threatened to paralyze me. Kyle and I held our breath as we waited for the creature lurking in the shadows, hoping that daybreak would bring safety. In the morning, a gruesome message taunted us: "You should have checked inside the staircase." We realized our mistake too late. Migranfather's karate expertise saved us, but the trauma left an indelible mark on our souls. The man's twisted grin haunts me still, and I can't help but wonder how different things might have been if we'd faced our fears head on. As a child, I was fascinated by the supernatural, eagerly anticipating each Halloween. On one Halloween, my family and I joined a ghost tour, arriving early at the meeting spot in an empty parking lot. We waited in the hotel's vestibule, where I began to feel uneasy, as if something sinister lurked nearby. During the tour, we learned about the Shadow Man, a malevolent spirit who lurks near the entrance, striking those who dare to intrude. After the tour, my family and I rushed home, but the Shadow Man's influence remained, leaving us with an unshakable sense of horror. It was supposed to be a relaxing family vacation in Turkey, but little did we know, horror awaited us. "Open the door," the stranger demanded, his voice sending shivers down our young spines. We barricaded ourselves in the bathroom, praying for safety and protection. He lurked outside the door, waiting, watching, hungry for innocence. Thanks to quick thinking and sheer luck, we escaped the clutches of a monster that haunts our memories still. As a young adult, I encountered a peculiar neighbor who changed my life forever. He handed me a steak, but I couldn't enjoy it due to his putrid smell and chilling gaze. I woke up in a basement, surrounded by the horrifying evidence of his twisted obsession. His plan to steal my arm for himself left me scarred both physically and emotionally. With all my might, I fought back and escaped, ending his nightmarish plans. I was 19 and my brother 17 when he started doing creepy things. One day we watched TV together and he suddenly yelled, "Shit, stop it. You think this is funny?" My brother, who never cursed, ordered me to go to my room. I obeyed, but I couldn't shake the unease. That night, as I slept, I heard my brother shouting. The next morning, my parents rushed us to the hospital. My brother was in a coma. My brother woke months later, but he wasn't the same. He'd witnessed something terrifying, 3 women spinning in our living room, their faces twisted into horrific masks. The women spoke to him as they licked his face with their black tongues. "We're thirsty. We want human lives." My brother fought them off, but they took control, sending him into a coma. Even in the hospital, the nightmares persisted. Sleep paralysis haunted him, and we all lived in fear of the unknown. In a forgotten library, hidden from view, a mysterious volume lay waiting to be discovered with a key to unlock unspeakable horrors. With trembling fingers, I opened the cursed book, its pages filled with secrets best left unread. As I delved deeper, the darkness closed in around me. Demonic rooms began to appear, seemingly out of thin air, whispering arcane knowledge no mortal should possess. As I read the final passage, a chilling presence watched me from outside the window. It had been summoned by my curiosity, and it would not rest until it had claimed my soul. Suddenly, I understood the terrible price of forbidden knowledge. I closed the book, heart pounding, knowing I had narrowly escaped the gaping maw of oblivion. Ricky convinced me to visit a secret underground zoo where humans and animals intertwined into terrifying hybrids. We encountered a monstrosity 7 feet tall, part human, part crocodile, squealing and displaying sharp teeth. A massive bird-human hybrid swooped through the air, its wingspan stretching over 8 feet wide. Black panther heads on human bodies, snake-headed figures, and tiger faces merged with human features haunted our every step. The keepers tossed a helpless victim into the den, and the creatures tore him apart without mercy. They planned to transform me into a dog-like beast, but I narrowly escaped their horrific clutches. Once in a mysterious village there dwelled a peculiar little girl who ventured into a haunted forest, where she encountered a hideous witch, trapping her inside a decaying structure that seemed to devour souls, only to be consumed herself by the witch's insatiable hunger. The witch suffered from an unbearable tummy ache, until a brave soul arrived to vanquish the evil, freeing the little girl's spirit. In another realm, a young woman met her demise, becoming those who couldn't grasp her own fate, while everyone around her knew the horrific truth. A ruthless vampire terrorized the land, draining the life out of every living being, except one named Elizabeth. Together, the vampire and the witch cooked up a devious plan to consume the poor soul, leaving Elizabeth helpless against their wicked schemes. One day, a clever human discovered the witch's den, killing her without warning and unexpectedly transforming her into a mortal. Unbeknownst to them, the human harbored a secret. He was a malevolent wizard, destined to bring ruin upon them both as they perished together in the shadows. And the tale of the haunted house legend? It remains unknown, like the love between a witch and a human bound by fatal desire. When I was 12, my friend and I were walking along a creeper-infested road when a peculiar elderly man approached us. He invited us to sit beside him, but something didn't feel right, so we fled. 2 days later, while texting a friend, I noticed a chilling silhouette outside my window, the very same man. I quickly shut out the darkness and called the police as he pounded on my window, asking to join me. The authorities apprehended him, but his smile and mad giggle unnerved me as they took him away. They discovered his hiding place under my bed, where he had been living like a monster in the shadows. Now, 9 years later, I dread his imminent return as his release date draws near. When I was just a child, my life took a chilling turn one fateful day. My sister warned me not to leave with our mother, but I brushed it off as jealousy. Little did I know, my uncle would try to take my life in the basement that day. As I lay helpless, my mother saved me from a gruesome fate. She revealed that my uncle had escaped a mental institution, forever altering our lives. Now, I live with the scars and the memories, haunted by what could have been. Over 25 years ago, my boyfriend and I moved into a sinister house with a chilling secret. We found a chair in the yard that refused to budge, as if possessed by some unseen force. Desperate for relief, we sought help from the parish priest, armed with holy water and salt. Millions of cockroaches emerged from the depths, triggering my greatest fear and sending us fleeing. The horrors continued, with our food decaying at an unnatural pace, leaving us no choice but to abandon our home forever. When I was 4, my family lived in a vast apartment building with a huge basement where we did our laundry. One day, while my mother was busy with the washing machine, I wandered off into the darkness. I found myself following these bloodied footprints, identical to mine own, deeper into the gloomy corridors. At the end of the hall, I encountered 2 kids, equal in age, their gaze cold and unnerving. I shook off the feeling. After all, I was just a curious child. As I glanced away, the children vanished, leaving only a sense of unease. Later, in the elevator, they reappeared, but once again disappeared before answering my questions. The janitor revealed the gruesome truth. A murdered family's spirits haunted the complex, searching for their lost remains. To this day, I wonder if they ever found peace. I moved into a new apartment, blissfully unaware of the terror that awaited me. The incessant noises from my upstairs neighbor haunted my nights, leaving me restless and uneasy. He was a creature of the night, a monster masquerading as a man. His world was shrouded in shadow, a realm I never wished to enter. The blood cocktail he offered was a horrific concoction I could barely fathom. Trapped in his twisted game, I was powerless against his superhuman strength. He reveled in his despicable acts, hungry for more innocent lives to consume. My plan to spoil his palate with fats and oils was just begun. His face contorted in agony as he realized my trap had worked. His once human fa-a-de crumbled, revealing the true monster beneath. Our saviors arrived, bringing justice to the accursed vampire. He was sentenced to rot in a cell, another victim of his own twisted hunger. I remember my friend's final moments, etched in my mind like a haunting cinematic masterpiece. Ewan had been entranced by a mysterious cult, their beliefs both ancient and obscure. The congregation wore snake masks, their tongues splitting like venomous fangs. My friend begged me to join him in offering a piece of myself to their twisted faith. As the massive snake devoured my friend, its eyes held a message I'll never forget. Each night, I relived that horror, trapped in a cycle of guilt and despair. As I stepped outside into the cool night air, the darkness seemed to curl around me like a looming presence. My trusty dog's usually calm demeanor was replaced with unbridled panic, alerting me to the sinister figure lurking nearby. The shadows danced, taunting me as I strained my eyes to catch a glimpse of the mystery visitor. A sudden impact jolted me back to reality as a wooden stump crashed onto the ground, narrowly missing me. I hastily retreated, my heart pounding in my chest. Safe within the confines of my bed, I trembled, dreading the unknown horrors that awaited me beyond the walls of my sanctuary. When I was 9, I had an itching fear of someone watching me in my room. My parents got me a nightlight, but it didn't stop the dread that crept in when they left me alone in the dark. At the mall, my mom let me play in a giant play area. Little did I know, someone was watching me from afar, hiding behind a sinister smile and bloodshot eyes. That night, my nightlight mysteriously went out. My mom didn't believe me until she noticed the unplugged light and horror filled her face. The cops found no fingerprints, no traces of the intruder. The man had to follow us home, somehow knowing where I lived. How did he do that? I have no idea. The cops never found him, but we moved away, hoping to leave the terrifying memory behind. Now I'm 15, and I've grown stronger, both physically and mentally. I refuse to let that incident hold me back. But it taught me a valuable lesson. Trust your instincts and never underestimate the power of fear. To everyone listening, always be vigilant. Fear has its purpose, it might just save your life. And remember, sometimes the boogeyman is closer than you think. Long ago, in a quiet village, the mysterious traveling doll maker arrived, setting up shop in an empty field, luring children with his lifelike dolls. William strikes a bargain with the doll maker, agreeing to bring him his father's greatest treasure in exchange for a custom doll. He tries to deceive the doll maker with a fake treasure, but the doll maker sees through his lie. Frantic, William searches for his father's true treasure, only to discover it's himself. The doll maker reveals his sinister intentions, turning William into yet another doll in his collection. With William transformed, the doll maker moves on to the next town, forever haunted by the horrors of his greed. In the quiet province of the Philippines, where superstitions reign supreme, I found myself caught in a chilling tale that could have ended in tragedy. As a tutor, I enjoyed my job and dismissed locals' beliefs, until the day people stared at me with fear, and children claimed I was headless. The family I worked for urged me to flee and burn my clothes, which I did, only to pass out from the putrid smell. Little did I know, I narrowly escaped a fatal shooting that could have taken my life, saved by a seemingly ridiculous ritual. It turns out, sometimes superstitions aren't just tales, they might just be the difference between life and death. Now, whenever I hear whisperings of fate, I listen closely, for the truth may be hidden within the darkness. Maria and I spent our summers at a remote resort, eagerly exploring its dusty corners. Her piercing stare froze me in place, my heart pounding in dread. We ventured where we shouldn't have, stumbling onto a chilling scene. In the shadows, a twisted man threatened my best friend, his obsession consuming him. Time slowed as I witnessed the unthinkable, my mind racing to save her. Our lives forever scarred by the terror we faced that fateful night. A trip to the mall turned into a living nightmare when we encountered a strange old man who wore women's shoes, a scarf, and carried a mysterious dress. He stood frozen, staring at us with a chilling gaze. Then, he revealed his true intentions to capture our innocence forever. His cryptic words haunt me still. She's cold now. Could he have been hiding a gruesome secret? Though we escaped unharmed, the memory of that day remains etched in my soul, a terrifying reminder of the darkness lurking among us. Emma always felt unremarkable, yearning for the spotlight, craving to resemble those perfect Hollywood starlets. One day, Emma stumbled upon a mysterious mirror, its glass tainted with secrets and whispers of transformative power. With every desire, the mirror twisted her features, molding her into a living doll, far from the friendships that once made her whole. Her loved ones no longer recognized her, their connection severed by the mirror's dark magic. In the depths of the mirror, the old Emma remained imprisoned, her cries for help lost in the void. Now, Emma must confront the chilling truth. Sometimes, the cost of wish fulfillment is too high, leaving only echoes of what once was. I found myself in a repetitive nightmare, trapped in my room with my sister as a towering, mysterious figure attempted to break in. Each night, the intruder returned, gruesomely disfigured, but never quite making it through the doorway. His twisted grin haunted me, leaving me too frightened to sleep, so I tried to escape the nightmares with alcohol, crafts, and socializing. My aunt, a practicing Christian, took me to a shaman who provided an amulet to protect me from this menacing presence. The amulet seemed to work, but the entity returned, mocking my father's prayers, my dog's barks, and even my friends' voices. I was terrified, unable to sleep, and rapidly losing weight. I begged the shaman for further guidance, but the torment remains. I reach out to anyone who has faced similar horrors, hoping for solace and understanding in this unending nightmare. I was mindlessly scrolling through YouTube when I came across a video that shook me to my core. "What?" I whispered, feeling goosebumps rising on my arms. We weren't just similar, we were practically clones. Our reflections stared back at us, daring us to confront the impossible. We compared every detail, from old burn scars to distinctive belly buttons. My doppelganger and I made a video call, and our hearts raced in unison. We suffered the same agonizing pain, our hearts stopping and starting together. He vanished into thin air, leaving only a trail of destruction behind. In my dreams, a sinister presence haunted me, choking the life out of me. My family believed it was all in my head, but I knew the terrible truth. As the authorities investigated, the mystery deepened. His visage transformed into a grotesque mask, as though he were melting before my eyes. I avoided mirrors, afraid of what I might see, or not see. Plastic surgery was my only hope for escape, but the scars remained. Winter brought not only the cold, but a chilling secret that haunted our town. We found a snowman unlike any other, its eyes and mouth eerily carved, cloaked in darkness. As we destroyed it, a mysterious heart emerged, piercing the winter air with dread. Paul met a tragic end, and the village was shrouded in fear, the cold following us like a shadow. Parents warned their children to stay indoors, the snowman's curse claiming yet another victim. Time passed, and the snowman vanished, but the memory of that winter's horror still clings to our hearts. In Limburg, the most southern province of the Netherlands, I pursued my lifelong dream of becoming a caretaker. The laundromat-turned-living facility housed 24 patients, each with their own room, kitchen, and bathroom. Rick was a gentle soul, loving horses and Russian opera, but his joy vanished as he suffered nightmares involving a terrifying creature. The creature, with its grotesque appearance and putrid odor, tormented Rick, leaving deep scratches and bite marks on his body. We tried to help Rick, but every attempt was met with resistance, as if we were fueling the creature's rage. One night, we found Rick clawing at his neck and chest, succumbing to the creature's violent attack. After Rick's passing, another patient moved into the room, forever haunted by the devil in the closet. Gus here, sharing the time, I almost became a statistic during a trip to a beach cottage with my buddies Spencer, Jose, and Marco. Spencer's mom hooked us up with her famous homemade PB cookies, best pre-horror snack ever. We swam, played volleyball, laughed, until Spencer suggested we explore the woods at night. Because nothing bad ever happens in the darkness, right? Jose came prepared with a fire extinguisher. Hey, you never know when an unexpected bonfire might pop up. We ventured into the unknown, hearing strange noises, feeling like we weren't alone. An elderly man wielding an axe appeared, ready to turn us into human stew. Thanks to Jose's quick thinking, we escaped with our lives. We fled, petrified, wondering if the maniac would return. And I still questioned whether my flashlight led him straight to us. To this day, I keep those memories buried deep, hoping the horrors of that night will stay hidden in the woods. As an 11-year-old visiting a creaky 2-story house in California, I felt uneasy from the start. With no snacks to satisfy my hunger, my siblings abandoned me for the store, leaving me alone. Strange sounds echoed through the house, sending chills down my spine. Hiding in my uncle's closet, the darkness consumed me, yet I couldn't help but peer outside. Her appearance was haunting, a black-eyed woman with a nun-like attire, staining my memory forever. The storm brought her back, a specter in the night, watching, waiting, still hunting me. As a kid, I thought I was friends with a ghost. Her name was Dorothy, and she didn't look like your typical specter. She protected my sister and me from a dark entity that wanted to send us straight to hell. Each night, Dorothy would take me to this pond and tell me she'd return in the morning. One night, she came back changed, and I never saw her again. Dorothy made people think I was psychotic, giving me gruesome instructions to murder classmates and strangers. My family never knew the truth about Dorothy, but I'll always wonder when she'll resurface. 4D, the obsession of a lifetime, the game that consumed me, body and soul. As a child, my father introduced me to the thrill of the lottery, and I tasted victory with my very first bet. But the wins were fleeting, and soon I found myself enslaved to the promise of wealth. Desperate to reclaim my glory, I discovered a secret establishment where the odds were rumored to shift in my favor, but at a dreadful cost. The price? Something precious. Something vital. My father's life. He never saw it coming. His trust in me blinded him as I traded his existence for a chance at unimaginable riches. I watched him disappear behind the blood-stained doors, his screams ringing in my ears. The universe taunted me as my efforts proved fruitless. I craved revenge, but fate seemed to turn its back on my desires. Would anyone join me in my quest for retribution? My brother, once innocent and naive, now stands beside me. Tomorrow we visit the shop again. This time, we'll get what we came for, even if it means losing another piece of our souls. In 1998, I was 16 and exploring an abandoned boathouse with my friends Ben and Jake. That night, we dared to venture where we shouldn't have. We felt eyes on us, and the eerie silence was broken by a menacing voice calling us to come out. As the footsteps grew closer, we held our breath, hearts pounding, praying not to be discovered. Time stood still as we waited for the inevitable, but Jake's quick thinking saved us from a gruesome fate. We escaped, but the memory haunts me still. What did that maniac intend to do to us in the depths of that eerie boathouse? 2 years ago, I formed an exploration party with my friends Dan, Sarah, and Hazel. We ventured into an old house rumored to be haunted. The house was built in the 1940s and abandoned after its owner moved to a nursing home. We discovered a well similar to the one in the ring. Dan nearly fell in, but thankfully escaped unharmed. We entered the house, where a putrid stench hung heavy in the air. Inside, we found shoes. Lots of shoes. As we continued, we encountered disturbing objects, including a mysterious arm. We hurried back outside, only to find a man in a lime green shirt and tattered shorts blocking our path. He held a raw, bloody arm, as if it were a sacrificial offering. With a hoarse voice, he commanded us to leave. We fled, terrified, and never returned. To this day, I wonder if he's still there, waiting for unsuspecting visitors to enter his lair. One evening, as I sat alone in my rocking chair, memories of my past haunted me like shadows in the darkness. My thoughts drifted back to that fateful encounter with a spirit by the Ganges River, a tale that still sends chills down my spine. As I sipped my tea, my mind wandered back to the terrifying experience that changed my life forever. The witch's legend echoed in my ears, and I wondered if she still lurked in the shadows, seeking her next victim. Though I tried to focus on happier moments, the darkness of that night continued to consume me like a parasite. But even in the depths of despair, I remembered her words and the strength they gave me to confront my fears. The hospital was quiet, almost too quiet, as the inspector made his rounds that night. He encountered a strange noise coming from the morgue, where the chilling silence was broken by a creak. Inside, he found an unsettling sight: an open body bag with a crimson tag, as if beckoning him to investigate further. A young girl entered the elevator, her smile sweet yet unnerving, as if hiding a sinister secret. The elevator halted unexpectedly, each stop filling the inspector with dread as he realized the supernatural events unfolding around him. Too late, he discovered the truth about his seemingly harmless companion. Her wrist bore the ominous red tag, a sign of death's cold embrace. As I blew out the candles on my 12th birthday cake, I wished for a thrilling adventure to remember. Little did I know that my encounter with Saya and Elenia would become a nightmare straight from my worst fears. "We weren't expecting this many guests," they muttered, their voices cold and detached. Their presence revealed their true intentions, a concoction designed to deceive and destroy. My world turned upside down, trapped in a web of deception spun by these sinister siblings. In the end, I narrowly escaped their wicked clutches, forever changed by the horrors they unleashed. Mark and Jess wandered through the dimly lit streets, lost in conversation, oblivious to the eerie figure looming ahead. The air froze as they met her piercing stare, a chilling presence despite her frail appearance. As Jess took the book, a searing sensation burned her fingers, setting their nerves on edge. They raced towards the library, only to find it reduced to a smoking ruin, shattering their sense of security. Mark's blood ran cold as he read Stranded over and over again, a haunting refrain echoing in his mind. The wandering woman's vacant stare continued to haunt them, a chilling reminder of the unknown lurking within the shadows. Have you ever encountered a creature so bizarre it left you questioning reality itself? I did, and it haunts my dreams to this day. It was a cat, yet not. Yet not. My world turned upside down the moment I crashed into that nightmare made flesh. They didn't believe me. They couldn't see what I saw, a monstrous fusion of man and beast. But I know the truth, and now I can never escape the horror of that catman's gaze. It was July 2016, the height of the clown scandal in the US. Creepy clowns roamed the streets, terrifying everyone. My friends Miguel, Milo, and I spent the evening at Milo's house, watching movies and eating snacks. As we walked through the park that night, we encountered a sinister figure in a black and white clown costume, his face twisted into a chilling smile. We hurried back to Milo's house, convinced the clown was following us. He stood outside, staring straight at us through the doorbell camera, making us question our safety. The clown vanished without a trace, leaving us forever haunted by that fateful night. I found myself in a peculiar town during my road trip, surrounded by an unnervingly dense forest. The gas station was deserted, the restaurant empty as if time had forgotten this place. Darkness enshrouded the town, an unsettling chill as if the sun never touched its streets. Intrigued, I discovered dozens of people feasting on a monstrosity I'd never encountered. Yellow skin, 2 snake-like heads, and limbs stretching over 7 feet tall, a ghastly sight. He revealed his swollen, powerful arm, boasting of the mysterious meat's effect. They claimed it granted power, euphoria, and strength beyond imagination. Their eyes bloodshot, muscles strained against their clothing seams as if ready to burst. Despite my apprehension, I considered trying the meat, questioning its true cost. With one toss, he hurled me through the air, demonstrating his inhuman strength. He warned me not to speak of the town's secrets, claiming their sustenance was rare and sacred. Years later, I returned to find the town a shell of its former self, ravaged by an unknown force. Authorities could never explain the gruesome fate that befell the town's residents. I knew the truth yet struggled to utter a word, bound by fear's inescapable grasp. As the sun dipped beneath the horizon, a shiver ran down my spine. Home alone for the week, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease creeping through the house. My friends Timmy and Jack arrived, and we settled in for a night of thrills, our stomachs rumbling with hunger. Rock, paper, scissors, pizza wins. We ventured out to satisfy our craving, the darkness cloaking us like a shroud. The night air bristled with anticipation, as if the world held its breath. Upon our return, the open door taunted us, a gaping mouth ready to swallow us whole. Fear clutched at my heart as we armed ourselves and entered. Room by room, we crept through the shadows, hearts pounding in unison. The fear was palpable, suffocating us like a thick fog. In an instant, chaos erupted. The unexpected visitor, a wanted thief from Arizona, brought our lives to the edge of a knife. We fought back, defending our territory. Though the storm has passed, the memories remain, binding us together in a tale of camaraderie and courage. The shadows still dance, but we are no longer afraid. I received a call from an unknown number, and the voice was eerie yet strangely familiar. The calls kept coming, and I became increasingly agitated, until I finally snapped. My friends, Carlos and Mason, joined me to confront the mysterious caller, but what we discovered was beyond our wildest nightmares. In an instant, Carlos and Mason were knocked unconscious, and the van disappeared into the darkness. The police searched for the van, but it seemed to vanish without a trace. The calls persisted, and the caller revealed his horrific intentions, organ harvesting. Months have passed, but the fear remains as the van continues to appear before my home, accompanied by a putrid stench. As I fled the house that fateful night, I couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was closing in on me. The masked intruder taunted me with my own phone, recording my every movement while I slept peacefully, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. My sister Jocelyn's disappearance cast a dark cloud over our family, but little did I know that another storm was brewing in our seemingly quiet neighborhood. The videos on my phone showed the masked figure looming over me while I slept, leaving me with an unshakable sense of vulnerability.